Girl.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Friday. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. And it's the Fan Upstate. Hello to you, and how do you do? Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. What is happening, world? Great to be with you. Happiest of Fridays to you, my dudes and my dudettes. Happy Super Bowl weekend to you, to everybody out there across Sportslandia. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the metaphorical glass this morning, the guy in charge of this program and every program you've ever loved on radio, on television, on cable, on satellite, on streaming, on America. He is radio's godfather himself, the great one, Lonzo, in the building. What up, so?
Let's go, we're gonna go. Let's go, we're gonna go.
Let's go if we gonna go. Spectacular. What a day.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
We have lined up for you today. A lot of stuff we need to get to, a lot of stuff we need to talk about, a lot of stuff to discuss on the radio broadcast today, and I hope that you will join us for all of it. It is Super Bowl Friday. Obviously, we've got to talk a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs going for the back-to-backer. We got to talk about the San Francisco 49ers, who are trying to avenge their L to Pat and the gang from a few years back. We got to talk Kelce and Kittle, the internet's favorite new bromance. Which, by the way, I'd absolutely watch the hell out of a Kittle and Kelce reality show. It's good.
I just want to see them tag team. I mean,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, Kittle's already in, as far as the WWE goes. He's already.
I feel like it would take
He was in WrestleMania last year.
Yep.
Yeah, Kelce uses catchphrases all the time. Why not?
I feel like it would take exactly and precisely 0 seconds of effort to talk Trav into the ring with George Kittle. None at all. Bring back Gronk as the manager. We got a stable. Speaking of wrestling and football, the Hall of Famers for 2024 got in last night, and one of the four horsemen is in. Steve is in. Whoa! How about it? Love to see it.
Thought he was underrated as a wrestler. I really enjoyed him.
Vastly underrated.
Very good on the mic, I thought, too.
Oh, yeah. Vastly underestimated as a wrestler, for sure. For sure. Glad to see him get in. Julius Peppers is in. That's a dude.
It's a really large human being.
He's a giant man. And now he is a giant in the football landscape as well, an NFL Hall of Famer. I'm going to tell you right now, one of my favorite players of all time, which is hilarious because he came from my least favorite university, that being the University of Miami. He got his career on a rocket ship at my least favorite NFL franchise. That would be the Atlanta Falcons. There's nothing I should like about this dude, but I love this dude, Devin Hester. Kick return extraordinaire. More kick returns for tutties than anybody in the history of the league. 19 of them, 15 on punts, 4 on KRs. Devin Hester's going in.
He's one of those guys where back in his day, you're like, man, don't kick the ball to him. Do not kick the ball.
Why the hell would you ever kick
Why
Devin
did you
Hester?
kick the ball to him?
Why the hell would you ever kick to Devin Hester? Just hand it. Just don't do that.
You know what? Kick it out of bounds, take the penalty.
I honestly would rather let whatever team, Atlanta, Chicago, whoever Devin Hester was playing for, I'd rather just give him the ball at the 40 than kick it to Devin Hester. That is not a joke. Devin Hester was a bro. So we have got to talk NFL Hall of Famers. Individual awards last night. Shocking, I know. CJ Stroud is your Offensive Rookie of the Year. And Will Anderson Jr., his counterpart on the exact same team, but on the other side of the ball, is your NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year because they were both absolute dudes this year for Houston. helped them into the playoffs. Love that. We've got, what else? Oh, your MVP. We should probably bring up your NFL MVP. At 27 years of age, Lamar Jackson becomes the youngest two-time NFL MVP of all time, outpacing only his nemesis, Patrick Mahomes, by a total of 9 months of age when he won MVP numero dos. He was 1 point away, I should say 1 vote away, from becoming only the second player in history to two-time consensus win that award. The only guy who has won it twice and done so with 50 votes both times, Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the only guy to have done it twice with 50 votes both times. Lamar was a vote away. And I got to imagine that somewhere this morning, this AM, bright and early arose from a restful slumber some absolute jerk.
You're just a loser or a jackass. You can be A or B.
That went, I stopped Lamar from being Tom Brady next. I totally stopped him, you guys. Some dork with a pocket protector this morning was like, yeah. I stopped Lamar from being the first or the second two-time consensus MVP. And I hate that.
Yeah, I don't know how he was the MVP, but that's fine.
What do you mean? I told you 5 weeks ago he was going to be the MVP.
Well, because it's a popularity contest. I mean, you got to be good. You can't be like a bench player or something. You got to be good, but it's a popularity contest. So you're right. He won it 5 or 6 weeks ago.
It is absolutely not a popularity contest. That dude was a machine. It was Christian McCaffrey until about week 14. About week 13, 14, it was not only CMC's award, but until about week 13, 14, your boy was saying just name the award after McCaffrey because that's how much it's his. And then Lamar strapped rocket boots to his uniform in the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and I called that shot weeks ago. That wasn't popularity. Christian McCaffrey could absolutely win a popularity contest. That was Lamar doing things that only Lamar can do.
I just not that I felt jolted or anything. Did any Kansas City player win an award?
Not individual awards, no.
Okay, that's fine.
Nope.
Well,
disrespect.
Yeah.
Disrespect.
That's very disrespectful. Not even
disrespect in the Chiefs.
Not even a single vote. Okay, fine.
I think Patty got a couple of like third place MVP votes down the line. I'll look that up for you in a minute.
Okay. All right. Fine. I mean, Lamar Jackson is a very good player. The rest of the league didn't want him. So he had to come out and play really hard to with a chip on his shoulder, and good for him. How many playoff wins did he have? I think that's one of those awards you don't hand out till after the Super Bowl.
Why?
Because then
it's
you get
a regular season award, not a postseason award.
Okay, fine.
It's a regular season award.
Okay, fine.
So if you're going to hand it out, if you're going to do that, it's just the Super Bowl MVP. And I'm relatively sure if you gave Patty the option to grab another ring and a Super Bowl MVP or a regular season MVP, I'm pretty sure I know which one he'd take.
No, I agree. You're right. I just, to me, the NFL MVP is like the Heisman. I mean, people decide early on who's going to win it.
No,
and then they get it.
I promise you they didn't, because I will tell you, you can read in the Vegas odds. This is one of the reasons when people ask me, Rob, why do you lean so heavy into the gambling side? One of the reasons why is there is no place that is more unbiased than Vegas. Why? Because if they have a bias and that bias shines through, they will lose millions and millions of their own dollars.
No, man, you can't do that
in the process.
You can't do that anymore.
Absolutely can.
Unless you're a heel.
If you think we're not talking about that later.
Yeah. Wow.
We absolutely are. You have to be unbiased, which is why until about week 14, about the time Rob Brown said, This is now Lamar's to lose. Christian McCaffrey was the odds-on and not particularly close odds-on favorite to win the MVP. And then Lamar started Lamaring, and all of a sudden the odds started shifting. I know those of you not watching the stream, which you should be at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, and by searching the Fan Upstate on YouTube and on Twitch, didn't see that. But I acted the odds switching out. I pantomimed on the air.
It was Oscar worthy.
It was. I agree. At least SCBA 2-time show, Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year award worthy. I would definitely say that.
Well, don't use that in least in the same sentence.
No issue with that. Kevin Stefanski of the Cleveland Browns wins your Coach of the Year. Joe Flacco beats out Damar Hamlin by a single vote to become your 2023 NFL Comeback Player of the Year award. And I don't really have an issue with that. Joe Flacco comes back, plays 5 games, puts up stupid numbers, and brings the Cleveland damn Browns to the playoffs. Granted, he sucked in the playoff game, but it got him to the playoffs.
Yeah, I get why a lot of people are upset about it. But
because Damar Hamlin died.
Yeah, there was that, which is horrible.
Yeah.
I'm glad he came back to life, but he didn't play that well. I mean, I think that also comes to that he made some mistakes that cost his team. Maybe that factored in.
Joey says CMC absolutely should have won MVP. SMH. I got zero issue if you feel that way. I don't even know that I'm disagreeing with you, but here's why CMC didn't win it. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Justin Juszczyk, Brock Purdy, Brandon Ayuk. That's why CMC's not going to get it.
So it's the LeBron super team thing.
It is the fact that CMC, and this was Purdy's problem as well. It is because they are surrounded with, and I've said this before. I said it last night on Bet for the Cycle. On BetMGM tonight. For those of you that don't know this, on Thursday nights, I do a national spot with BetMGM tonight that airs on this station and others around the lovely, lovely United States of America. And I was talking with Ryan Horvat and Nick Ashush and Trista Crick, the host of that show, phenomenal people. And they said, talk to me about CMC. And I said, look, here is why Lamar's going to win the MVP tonight. Called the shot before it happened. It wasn't a guess to me. It was a statement of fact, which is why 2 weeks ago, Lamar Jackson was like minus 30,000 to be your MVP. It is 100% because while Christian McCaffrey said this on national radio last night, while Christian McCaffrey is without a doubt and hands down the best football player on the offensive side of the football in the entire NFL. He is. I think McCaffrey can do things with the football at any spot on the field that nobody else can do. Nobody else can do. He is surrounded by the best conglomeration of talent and skill since the greatest show on turf with Holt and Bruce and Falk and Warner and the boys back in the day. I mean that. I think the 49ers have the best conglomeration of skill position players that the NFL has seen in decades. And it is hard to be an MVP breakout when if you are taken away from the offense, the offense is going to slow down. But what team in the Super Bowl suffers more if their starting running back goes away? Lonzo, your Chiefs or the 49ers? It's the 49ers. It's not a question. That's a statement. Excuse me. The Chiefs suffer more if they lose Pacheco than the 49ers suffer if they lose McCaffrey.
I guess arguably, if you look at that offense and you just pointed out all the stars that San Francisco has, I think you would have to say that Kansas City would suffer more.
Yes. If Isaiah Pacheco, if both of these running backs decide today.
By the way, hopefully both of them stay healthy for the entire game.
Yeah, if this happens, I'm going to look like a jackass. If today,
especially with Christian McCaffrey's record of injury,
If today McCaffrey and Pacheco both decide that they're going to head down to the New York on the Strip and get on that big roller coaster they've got, and then they both step off the roller coaster and they both roll their ankle at the same time on the same day, and both of them have to miss Sunday, the Chiefs are in trouble. The 49ers will be less good, but still real good. That's why McCaffrey did not win it, and that is why Lamar did. Because if I take Lamar off the Ravens, they stink. But if I take McCaffrey off the Niners, they're still real good. That's the difference. That's why Lamar Jackson won that award. And if you've listened to this show for any length of time, you know that I think it is kind of a joke that quarterbacks win this damn thing more than they don't, right? Because great quarterbacks are frequently and often carried by other guys like wide receivers and running backs that should get more credit than they do. And I believe that Brock Purdy is one of those guys. But Christian McCaffrey's damn good. Debo, Ayuk, Juszczyk, Kittle, Purdy, all these other guys, if McCaffrey was not available, would have to make up ground, but I would trust them more than I would trust Kansas City's offense to make up ground if Isaiah Pacheco goes down. That's why CMC was in the mix. But if Lamar goes down before the AFC picture, they're wiped before it starts. If Lamar was unavailable to play Kansas City, Baltimore is cooked before the kickoff. If McCaffrey goes down, the 49ers still have a chance. Maybe not as heavy favorites as they are, but they still have a chance. That's why it's Lamar.
All right, you've convinced me.
I shouldn't have needed to convince you. That was obvious to me. Or at least it felt to me.
Sometimes you need a little elaborate explanation.
That's fair. That's fair. We, dudes and dudettes, have so much to get to on the radio broadcast today. We have got coming up on the show today, obviously all the Super Bowl talk you can handle. But when we come back here in just a minute, you guys remember back on Monday when we had Super Bowl opening day. And I said, this is the worst part of the week. Well, when we come back here in just a minute, Brock Purdy was on the mic yesterday. Old Brock Purdy was on the mic yesterday. And a reporter got an opportunity to ask a question and asked a question that made me want to physically assault them, metaphorically. We'll play that audio for you so that you can get mad too when we come back. I'm Rob Heaslons of the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. Y'all, it's the Fan Upstate. All right, I have to go get my pen. Pardon me, and good morning, everyone.
Good luck with that, Mike. Hope you win the money, dude.
What?
Money.
Hey, let's go. I like money.
Money is money's all right.
Saturday night with a low around 56. I'm meteorologist Kara Foster on the Fan Upstate. Currently it's 45 degrees.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a cold day to find out that your heater isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. So keep your family or business warm this winter and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or online at PriorityHeatingandAirHVAC.com.
There's a video of Rock Roman and Heyman walking out of the arena with the skyline of Vegas in the background. It's wild.
Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going.
So we'll put a picture of Solo and said Roman Reigns when Rock is around.
Mike, get it and put it all on Kansas City money line.
Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home the win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com. Play social games online for free. Head to ChumbaCasino.com now to join the Chumba fun and experience the thrill of the Chumba life.
Last night was an Attitude Era promo, and it was great.
All right, if the hour says 22:58, that's like at 10. Okay.
Do you think that tomorrow morning I can roll up to McDonald's and just get 75 nuggets, or do you think I need to order that today?
I don't know if they do nuggets in the morning, do they?
It's gonna be like
You might want
9
to.
o'clock.
You might want to do them tonight.
Yeah, and then have cold nuggets.
No, put them in the air fryer, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on the air.
There's somebody else there that could probably help you. I'm just saying.
So on Monday, it was Super Bowl opening day. And I told you, I think it's the worst part of the week. Now, let me start by saying that I'm like a mushroom, Lonzo, a fun guy. And
It's a good way to start a Friday right there. Many people started their morning hearing that, and they're just laughing, going, you know what? It's going to be a good day.
God, Rob is hilarious, y'all. Much like a mushroom, I'm a fun guy. I like fun. In fact, I'm probably, I think, the only person on the radio anywhere that is pro Bowl. Why? Because I enjoy watching the guys enjoy playing.
By the way, I always loved the Pro Bowl. I don't know.
The flag football version?
No, the old version. I'm good with
Right.
I'm good with the flag football version too.
I love the flag football version. I like the flag football version better than I like the old helmets and pads version because it's the exact same game, except for now we're going, forget all the clunk. Let's just go watch the most athletic people on earth do the most athletic things on earth.
See, here's the thing. As an old, I remember this thing called Battle of the Network Stars, where they would bring in all like celebrities that are on TV and stuff to do all the kind of stuff that they're doing on this. And it just reminds me of that. So yeah, I love it.
Big fan. Well,
The Sinners need to work on their long snap.
pressure on every offensive lineman to win those skill competitions,
Yeah.
though, is through the roof. Through the roof.
When they bust through the wall on the
wanna do that
obstacle.
so bad.
Yeah. I
wanna do
mean,
that so
what is
bad.
that wall made out of?
So, I am a fan of fun and shenanigans. I am a fan of giving these athletes an opportunity to shine through, to have their personality be on stage, not just the football. Because, hey, on Sundays during the season, when these guys have helmets on, they're not individuals. They're robots playing for our entertainment. So when they get a chance to go have some fun, be fun, show their personality, it's great. And you know how I know America loves it? Because Marshawn Lynch is still a dude in the public eye. We love it. So I don't even mind when news reporters at the NFL media days have some fun with the players. But man, there's fun with the players, and then there's just dumb. Like, for instance, yesterday when a reporter got into the Brock Purdy media time and decided to roll with this question. Now, the audio is a little choppy because it wasn't great. I had to kind of edit it and raise and lower some volume, so it's going to be up and down a little bit, but you'll understand. And you will hear what might have been. And this is an impressive feat at NFL media days. An impressive feat to somehow make all of America uncomfortable at the same time, here is what one idiot reporter decided when he got his chance to ask one question of a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. This is what he went with.
Pictures of you and Lee Harvey Oswald circling around the internet right now. People think you two look alike. Did you ever hear that before?
I haven't. That's my first time hearing it. Yeah.
What do you think about that comparison? Physical comparison, obviously.
Yeah.
You don't see it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. You know, some idiots on Twitter are saying you look like the man who killed John F. Kennedy. How do you feel about that? I will say this. I appreciate that reporter because he gave Rob Brown his newest soundbite.
I don't know.
Hey, Rob Brown, you look like Jeffrey Dahmer. How's that make you feel?
I don't know.
Hey, Rob Brown, you look like John Wayne Gacy. How's that make you feel?
I don't know.
Hey, Rob, you look like Sirhan Sirhan.
I don't know.
I can't remember. No, I was trying to think of the name from the dude from Silence of the Lambs. I know he's not real, but still. Yeah.
Hey, Rob, you look like Bradley Cooper.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
All right, so.
There's mumbling in the background of that cut. We're going to get, no, he doesn't look like Bradley Cooper. That's why.
You had a chance to ask the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, a top 3 vote getter in the most valuable player rankings, a guy who is starting his first Super Bowl on Sunday. And listen, I'm not against, questions that let a guy shine. Hey, Brock, you've played football in different parts of the country. Are you a White Castle guy or a Five Guys guy?
I don't know.
Hey, Brock, boxers or briefs?
I don't know.
Hey, Brock, Joe Montana or Steve Young?
I don't know.
Any of those would have been fine and given him a moment to just kind of shine. But instead, some idiot reporter, I'm assuming dressed as a clown, because everybody who asked those questions is dressed like a clown, decided to say, hey, Brock, some idiots on the internet feel like you look like one of America's most prolific all-time murderers.
By the way, does he?
A little bit.
Does he?
Little bit.
Okay, because okay.
I mean, it's not a wild difference, but a little bit. Man, and I'd obviously be lying to you to tell you that it doesn't a little bit stem from jealousy, all right? Because I want everybody at Odyssey and BetQL and around the world to know that if you want to fly Rob out to cover the Super Bowl live and in person, I'll do it. And I won't embarrass you by asking Brock Purdy if he thinks he looks like the presidential murderer.
I don't know.
Yeah, but that day is set aside for that stuff. So, I mean, it comes to be expected. That's a little extreme, but it comes to be expected.
I hate it. I hate it so
I
much.
wonder how, if there's like,
You sick freak!
is there prep time for the players who are coming to the Super Bowl for the first time? Do they set them aside and go, okay, you're going to be asked some weird questions. Remember who you represent. Remember to keep it even keeled. Don't let them get under your skin. No matter how dumb it is, do your best to answer the question.
Look, these guys, I've been around this before, okay? This is not me big timing. It just is what it is. I've been around these events before. Not the Super Bowl, but I've been around playoff games. I've been around regular season games. I've been around these types of press conferences. I've been around big time boxing. I've been around all of this. And I can tell you for a fact, because I have friends who are in the game, so to speak. I have friends in the game who will tell you that these guys are, especially at the level of Super Bowl starting quarterback, they are drilled in how to handle questions like this. They are drilled in how to deal when some jackass reporter says, "You look like a guy who murdered a president. What do you think?"
I don't know.
And that's what he came up with because, you know, you'll get told, hey, if somebody asks you to pick between Five Guys and White Castle, here's a way that you can get out of that without upsetting anybody. Because, hey, maybe you catch a sponsorship one day. If somebody says, hey, Barack, boxers or briefs, here's a way that you can get out of that without talking about your junk. Hey, Barack, if somebody says Montana or Young, here is how you answer that question without upsetting anybody. These guys are trained to deal with this stuff, not all that dissimilar from the way that high-ranking politicians are trained to deal with this. Don't answer. Answer without answering. I promise you, never before has a PR guy said, hey, if a reporter asks you, do you think you look like a guy who murdered a president?
I don't know.
Just say next question. Just say next question. That would have been the most appropriate next question ever. T.O. working out in his driveway. Next question. Would have been less appropriate than if Brock just said, no, I'm not answering that, bro. I'm not doing that. Nope. Next question.
I don't know.
All I'm saying is that is a great opportunity to give America an opportunity to go behind the curtain, to climb between the ears, to examine the gray matter of athletes that are going to grace well over a third of the televisions in America on Sunday. And instead, we got
pictures of you and Lee Harvey Oswald circling around the internet right now. People think you two look alike. Did you ever hear that before?
Dude, you clown. What are we doing? What are we doing? I know that this is a complaint. I know that this is a grudge that about, 5 of y'all care about.
Oh, I'm enjoying it because usually you are the protector of the media, and now you're coming down on your peeps, and I'm just sitting back and enjoying it.
Hell no.
Aggravating as hell. Aggravating as hell, man.
It sucks.
Beyond belief. All right. That's enough of that. We had some fun. Texter said, if I were Purdy and I got a question like that, my reply would have been, welcome to my theater. Joey, I love you. You're a P1. I think you may be mixing up Lee Harvey Oswald and John Wilkes Booth. Two very different presidential murder guys.
They both have 3 names.
They do, but one killed in a theater, and it wasn't the one that apparently Brock Purdy looks like.
But
I get
I
it.
don't know.
I like threatening the media member once he calls you a guy who looks like a murderer. That's fun. Texter said the perfect response would have been, bang, bang, Niner gang. I agree. That is 100% the perfect response. That is absolutely correct.
See, I would have just stared at him till he walked away. Even if other people are trying to jump in and ask questions, just stare at that guy till he walks away.
All right. Texter said, let's see. Defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett, straight robbery. Garrett didn't lead on most stat categories. Yeah, I actually agree with that. And coming up later in the show, when we talk about these NFL individual single season awards, I'm going to tell you exactly who should have won the defensive player of the year. And it was not Myles Garrett. We'll address that later in the show. We'll talk about Lamar's MVP. And it is, and this may shock you, you may not have heard this yet, Super Bowl week. It is Super Bowl week, my friends, which means
it's now Super Bowl weekend, if you count Friday as a weekend.
I will count Friday at the weekend, say 10 a.m. About 10 a.m. it'll be weekend for me.
It's a weird time, but yeah, okay. Let's go with 10 a.m.
It feels right to me. It really does. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, I got like a lot to get to. We got some Super Bowl props we need to get into. You guys know I love some props because, as I mentioned earlier in the radio broadcast, I love props because props tell you about the game. Like I said, Vegas wants to nail that number because they want the money coming in 50% on both sides, and they're real good at it. Real good at it. How good at it? Good enough that Rob Brown missed the parlay by a single point this past Saturday, and tomorrow on the show, I have to eat 75 chicken nuggets in one go. Somebody asked yesterday, what's the most you've ever done in one sitting? And I would say, Lonzo, probably in the bookend of like 40, but that was also when I was like 22 and playing 9 sports a year. Now I got to go 75 as an almost 40-year-old man. This might be my last show. We'll see. I'm Rob He's Lonzo. We're back after this on The Rob Brown Show on The Fan Upstate.
Maybe you should put a jar of mayonnaise on it.
It's like the guy who had to ask some kind of question so he doesn't get fired. He tried to be smart ass and ask something that no one would ask. Yes, I think Sammy Adrian Hammonds. I think this is 100% watch me get TikTok famous. That's what this is about. It's watch me get TikTok famous. I see your theory on the Rock Roman thing and the Young Rock shot. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch Young Rock. I'm a Rock guy, but I did not care that much. That was about the time that I'm like, okay, like Rock's kind of in it for Rock now, and I'm kind of over it. I thoroughly enjoyed last night. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And we are going to talk about that later on in the radio broadcast, so I'm glad you brought it up. Stick around. Good morning to everybody that's on the stream and hanging out in the background and not talking yet, but we would very much like you to join in on the show. Dudes and dudettes.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Joyce Wilson on the Fan Upstate.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of even hard to find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt!
Jackson Hewitt is so sure that you'll get your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
It's good to see Big E.
Was good to see Big E.
Hewitt also guarantees the accuracy of your return for life.
And that is, I don't know if you saw this, and I kind of loved it. When after it was over, when Punk was talking smack about Rock, and Rock was still on stage in the background.
Yeah. I watched the whole thing. Yeah.
I got to tell you, the long-term booking setups for that presser were phenomenal. I had a couple of questions about what I was talking about. On Saturdays, myself and Cody Decker host a show called Bet for the Cycle. It is a sports gambling show that airs from noon to 4 every Saturday on the BetQL Network and fine Odyssey stations everywhere. And on Saturdays during the show, we play a little game that we call Parlay v Parlay Challenge. It is where Cody Decker and I, as the host of the show, and Hayden Ass Mario and Double D, our producers on the show, as teams, team talent and team production, put together a 3-leg parlay that must be at least 4-1 or longer. And if the other team hits their parlay and you do not, you have to take some sort of punishment. We've done a bunch of stuff in the past. Cody Decker and I have had body hair waxed off of us live on the air. Cody Decker and I have had to eat heaping spoonfuls of Vegemite. I will tell you right now, I would rather die than do that again. That stuff is atrocious. We have had to do a lot of humiliating and or painful stuff. One of my favorites coming up is that Mario has to get a belly button piercing live on the air. And then for 2 months, wear the belly button ring of Cody Decker's choice, which is a pink, sparkly, dangly Hello Kitty belly button ring. However, Mario got his revenge tour as Cody Decker will have to get his nipple pierced live on the air and wear that for 2 months as well. It's pretty spectacular stuff on the show.
I mean, when you get to the point of mutilation or decoration, depending on how you look at it,
exactly.
Yeah, that's a line where I'm like, nah.
Well,
yeah.
Let's just say then you wouldn't cut it on Bet for the Cycle.
I could cut it anywhere I go,
No,
but here's the thing. I think once you go down that road, next thing you know,
there's no coming back.
Rob's getting tattoos. Rob's getting, even though he says the hair's, out of question.
For the record, Rob already has to get a tattoo, as does Cody. We both have to get Bet for the Cycle tattoos now.
By the way, if you get a tattoo of the show you're on,
yep.
How is that punishment? And the other
because
thing
this is true. I'm not going to be on that show forever, and one day I'll be old and saggy.
Yeah, well. And you're on your way.
And here's you want the real punishment. The real punishment is because we lost to Mario and Double D, their signatures are part of the tattoo.
Well, good for them. It just sounds like these punishments are stacking up.
100%.
When are you going to pay up?
100%. The only one I haven't paid up yet is the tattoo. And that is because me and Deck are waiting until the next time we're in the same place to go get them to film it and make a bit out of it because we live for you people.
Isn't that convenient? That's really convenient. Yeah, the next time we're together, you guys have been together once?
Twice.
Oh, okay, twice.
Yeah,
all right. So
twice. And we'll be again probably.
So next time you go to New York.
Yeah, basically, which is probably the summer. Probably the summer going to go up there. Because the fine folks at BetQL may or may not send me up there to go cover a couple of games with Decker in person, because why not? Why not? Anyway, point here is last week we have missed. We have not had a winner in about 3 weeks, right? 3-4 weeks. We have not had a team hit a parlay. And obviously, as a gambling show, we're kind of expected to be pretty good with our picks. And we are. Deck and I on the Parlay v Parlay picks are hitting at about a 66% clip overall, which if you are gambling in Vegas, you need to be hitting at about a 57% clip to break even and a 60 or better percent clip to be profitable. Deck and I on our parlay picks are picking about 66, 67%, which is right around profitable. A couple of lower odds picks that keep it right around that mark, but pretty good. Well, we decided 2 weeks ago that if nobody hit the parlay and both teams missed all 3 legs again, that everybody on the show would be punished for performing poorly, right? We're accountable, if nothing else. And the punishment was the 75 chicken nuggets in one go. Well, the game we picked last Saturday was Lakers-Knicks. Lakers-Knicks. We had Anthony Davis over 3.5 assists. He had like 7. We had Anthony Davis over 11 rebounds. He had like 17. And then we went LeBron James over 24.5 points. He scored 24. Now, the week before that was the one where the chicken punishment was decided. It was the AFC title game. Cody Decker hit his number. It was Chiefs minus or plus 3, whatever that line was. I hit my number, which was Travis Kelce over 65 yards. He led all receivers in that game. And we had a guest, Jay Kassan, in, and we let Jay Kassan pick a leg. He had Isaiah Likely over 20.5 receiving yards. He had 17. So we have missed 2 parlays by 3 receiving yards and 1 point. But a loss is a loss. So Deck and I got to take 75 nuggets to the face. And while I appreciate the texter that said, go Chick-fil-A nuggets, you can easily eat 75, we have already decided that the nuggets must come from one fast food restaurant that is not Chick-fil-A, because we knew our lovely Padawan producer, Hating Ass Mario, was going to go Chick-fil-A because they got the little baby nuggets. Delightful nuggets, but the little baby nuggets.
And they're not breaded. And
Correct.
just, yeah.
And we knew he was going to sandbag us because it's supposed to be punishment, not lunch. 75 nuggets from Chick-fil-A, not a problem. That's easy. And we knew he was going to sandbag us. So we agreed, did Decker and I, knowing full well we were absolutely going to hit our parlay last week. We decided we were going to go with another restaurant. Now, I don't want to name the restaurant in case I come in here on Monday up 50 pounds and hating everything about my life. But they are a restaurant. Lonzo knows who it is. They are a restaurant that is known for having more than respectable sized chicken nuggets, and they are breaded and fried. It's going to be rough. And we had a texter drop by, Trey dropped by the stream chat and said, how are you planning the massive you're going to take after 75 nuggets? And the answer is, Trey, can you plan that? Can you? I have to tell you, I have zero idea how my body is going to react when I slam 75 nuggets down my gullet in a 4-hour span.
You're going to get meat sweats.
Oh, for sure.
You're not going to see that much difference. I mean,
75,
how
bro?
much are you eating the entire day? Meal-wise.
So here's the other part is the strategy, right? Here's the strategy. Is the strategy, Zoe, to pound food today to stretch the gullet back out, to stretch the gut back out, or to not eat anything today so that I am fully empty at noon tomorrow? Is the strategy today to bang down 45 nuggets, right? It's like training before a marathon. You don't practice a marathon by running a marathon. You run a quarter marathon, and then you work up to a half. Do I go 40 nuggets today to kind of warm up for it? Or do I eat nothing today so I'm hungry tomorrow and instead just drink 10 gallons of water instead? What's the right way to? I don't know what the strategy is here. I should have booked Joey Chestnut as a guest and tried to figure it out. But I don't know how to handle it.
Joey's busy. There's no off season for what he does.
Ain't no off season on the Rob Brown Show. Ain't no off season for competitive eaters. I genuinely don't know how to handle what I got.
All right, so I'm looking this up because I'm curious. 20 nuggets are 890 calories.
Wait, all right, say that again.
20 nuggets are 890 calories.
All right, and we're going 3 1/4 times that amount. So I'm looking at roughly 2,500 calories in nuggets tomorrow, just in chicken nuggets. And that does not include
more like 3,000.
That does not include dipping sauces, because I feel like I gotta occasionally my goal is probably every 4th or 5th nugget to hit it with a sauce to kind of vary up the taste.
Well, sauce, you're going to add some more calories.
Right.
I'm just talking about, so if you look at the average person's calorie intake per day, if you don't eat anything else and this is all you eat, you should be fine.
3,000 calories over 4 hours?
Yeah, but if that's all you eat tomorrow.
But is that the play? Do I eat between at 10 o'clock, do I go get lunch and then fast until noon tomorrow and give myself a full 24 hours to open it up?
By the way, you've said many times, and I've seen this, you don't really eat breakfast.
I don't eat breakfast,
so,
but I hammer lunch.
Right, which is what you'll be doing.
So do I hammer lunch, skip dinner, skip breakfast, and then just nothing between noon and noon?
Skip breakfast because you always do that.
Already did.
Yeah.
And I will tomorrow.
So your first meal is going to be nuggets.
So that's what I'm saying. Do I eat lunch at noon today and then go 24-hour fast?
Today should be your normal day, because tomorrow will be you. If you don't eat supper, then you're good, because you'd never eat breakfast anyway. That's going to be your first meal. If you pace yourself, 10, 15 per half hour, you should be all right.
Our Joey, not Chestnut. Our Joey said, you don't have chestnut, but you got this, Joey. Don't eat today. Keep chugging water to keep your stomach expanded. You'll knock it out. It's going to hurt around 40 a lot. Yeah, that's what I expect. I suspect the wall kicks in between 40 and 50 with a double 12-pack still staring me down the face after that. I suspect around 40, 45, 50, I'm going to hate everything.
All right, so what happens if you can't do it?
Oh, that's not an option. It's not an option.
There should always be contingencies
There's not an
if
option.
someone can't pull through. Because what if Decker can't eat 75?
See, that's what I'm real interested in, because Decker is, while he is a radio host now, Decker's still an athlete. Like, Decker's the guy that you can't follow him on Instagram because I complain about getting up at 3:30 in the morning to get ready for work, and at 4 a.m. he's slinging weights around in the weight room.
So Mario has to do this too, right?
Yep.
All right, so he has hair strength. He's going to do better than you guys. But I think Decker's going to struggle more than anybody.
I think Deck is in the most trouble. I agree. I think Decker could beat the hell out of every radio person I've ever worked with, but I feel like this is the spot where I'm the elite athlete on the show. Decker played in the UCLA alumni game last week. They bring in all the UCLA alum, and they have them play basically a spring game against the current UCLA team. Decker took UCLA's starting pitcher Yard in his first AB. Like, he's still an athlete, but I feel like tomorrow is the first day where Rob Brown is the premier athlete on the show. I am going to be reaching back to the glory days. I used to go, there was a place in Fort Walton Beach called Buffalo's Reef. It was a little wing joint in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And on Tuesdays, they did wing ding. It was like $15, all you could eat wings, but there were rules. Once they brought you the first plate of wings, you could not leave the table until if you left the table, you were done. So you could eat as many wings as you could eat without getting up out of your chair. Once you got up, you were done. Didn't matter if you had to pee, throw up, go take a phone call, whatever. If you got out of your chair, your wing ding was over. You had to pay to do it again. And on Tuesdays in high school, Rob and the boys used to go up to wing ding. And so I used to be able to put down 55, 60, 65 wings at a time without a problem.
By the way, I believe there's more meat in a nugget than there is on a wing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so.
But I could throw, like I said, like 55, 60, 65 wings down at a time. And when I did, like, it was not an issue. I more often than not I usually finished because I was bored, not because I was full.
The breading's going to get you. That's what's going to get you.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, it's the breading.
I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid, and don't get me wrong, I'm afraid of 70 damn 5 chicken nuggets. That's just a lot of chicken. That's like 2 full chicken like 2 full rotisserie chickens at one go. But like 75 at a time, golly. That's going to be, I thought about it. Somebody asked me last night, like, what's the most you've thrown down in one sitting? And I think as far as nuggets go, it's probably in the ballpark of like probably in the 30s, like a 24 pack. And then you graze for a little while after that. But, I used to be able to do like 60, 65 wings. That's less than nuggets in terms of meat quantity.
You don't want
still a healthy amount.
You don't want to get to that final half hour and see you still have 30 left.
Right.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah. So I think, and we did the math on it. It basically works out with the number of segments that we have. It basically works out to where we've got to do somewhere in the ballpark of like 12 nuggets a segment. Now you split that up into segments and breaks. It comes out to be like basically 6 or 7 every segment, 6 or 7 every break. So, segments being 12 to 14 minutes long, breaks being 5 minutes. During the break, you put down 5, 1 every 60 seconds. You knock back a few when the other guy's talking on the air. Like, I think we're going to be okay.
All right.
I just feel like Sunday for the Super Bowl, I'm going to show up to the Super Bowl party, and they're going to be like, Rob, we got 90 pizzas. And I'm going to be like, hey, don't talk to me about food ever again.
So normally I have your back on these things, and I think you can do. I'm not sure about this one for you.
I'm not either.
Yeah,
I'm
this
not either.
one, this
I hate
one,
it. I hate this.
That's a lot.
I hate
It
this
really is
so
a lot.
much.
And I still think there needs to be contingencies if you guys can't do it. If you only put down 42 and Decker only puts down like 25 and Mario does 63 because hair power, I mean, what do you do? Because you guys technically haven't paid off on the bet.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. You'll all know on Saturday for Bet for the Cycle. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, 7 o'clock hour, going to be real busy. We got your water cooler cheat sheet out of the gate. Then we're going to do Clock In and Lock In. And it's going to be the Clock In and Lock In Super Bowl edition. My favorite Super Bowl props and picks for Sunday's game. I'll give you those and we'll talk. And again, the reason why is not because all of you are running out to gamble on the game, but because prop lines tell you about the expectations of the game, give you a pretty good read on what's going to happen. So we'll do that at 7:20. We'll give our official picks on the record for the game itself at 7:40. And then it's whatever y'all want from 8 till 10 on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate Sports Flash.
Wow. Yep, I did it again. Wow, didn't have my mic on. The NFL awards were handed out last night. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson pulled in 49 out of 50 first-place votes to take home his second MVP. The Offensive Player of the Year award went to Christian McCaffrey. The first to win it was San Francisco since Jerry Rice in 1993. Myles Garrett of Cleveland is your Defensive Player of the Year, while Browns coach Kevin Stefanski was named Coach of the Year. And Joe Flacco was awarded Comeback Player of the Year. The Houston Texans have both the Offensive and Defensive Rookies of the Year and quarterback C.J. Stroud and defensive end Will Anderson Jr. We are your exclusive home for the Super Bowl in the Upstate. Coverage starts at 2 p.m. Sunday as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the San Francisco 49ers. The Super Bowl plays right here on the Fan Upstate.
Sick and tired of achy joints? Dread the idea of surgery? You need to call QC Kinetics today. Hey, it's Charlie James. The state of healthcare is always changing. The old ideas like steroids and surgery are no longer your only options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative, non-surgical, drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury? Don't let this pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics' advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downside.
To give it to you guys know I love some props because
you reclaim your mobility, reclaim your independence, walk and run, play and live without the danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. Greenville and Nashville.
Now, during Staples Print Big Sale, get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, you save. But if you print at Staples, you save. See how that works? Staples Print Big Sale. Print more, save more. Up to $100. Ends 2/10. Visit staples.com/print for details.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save on bulk purchases of select insulation from trusted brands like Green Fiber. And there's more. Save 10% when you buy 6 or more select interior pre-hung and slab doors. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
I'm Popper, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on
QC in the
and
first
on
break.
budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent
QC in the first break.
Our new technology platform developed by AmericanEagle.com has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
The Fan.
Upstate.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville.
W249DL Greenville.
W246CB Spartanburg. Always live on the Free Odyssey app.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represent freedom, win. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show. Only
The Fan. Upstate.
Yeah!
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 Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Fan Upstate. It is wonderful to have all of you.
I'm talking to America here.
On the radio broadcast. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone's there for you at 844-326-3663. That's 844-FANFONE. You can text us at 71307, 71307. Start that text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the show. You can tweet X post me at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet X post Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. You can tweet X post everybody here at the station at The Fan Upstate. If you want to get at it in that direction, you are welcome to, and frankly, encouraged to do so. We'd love to have you on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, is less than an hour until if you've got one of those regular 8 to 5 jobs, you're inside an hour away from clocking in. You're inside of an hour away from getting your work day started. Good news, last work day of the week. Better news, last day of the work week that is Super Bowl week. But once you get clocked in, at some point, you're going to catch that first break. You're going to walk down the hall. You're going to go stand next to that water cooler, glug, 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 and you're going to talk sports with your coworkers. And when you do, you're going to know what's going on because you were here for this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworker saying,
You hear that?
Girl.
Bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
That's a great drop. That's a great drop. I love it.
Works really well right there, too.
It does. It's perfect. It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and you start talking sports with your co-workers. Let's begin with item number 1. The National Football League, as dollar store Chris Berman might say, handed out a bunch of hardware last night. Of course, they'll hand out the one trophy that everybody wants this Sunday when either San Francisco or Kansas City brings the Lombardi back to their hometown. But last night, they handed out some individual awards. NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year? Who the hell else could it be but Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud? Puka Nacua checked in second. He had a monster season for the LA Rams, but it took a monster season out of C.J. Stroud, who set multiple rookie records, including the single season record for passing yards by a rookie. to end up taking home that trophy. CJ Stroud got 48 out of 50 first place votes. The other 2 went to Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua got 48 second place votes. There was nobody else even in that conversation. Over on the defensive side, the rookie from also the Houston Texans takes home the defensive award. It was Will Anderson Jr., the number 3 overall pick of the draft, who also had a big impact in one defensive rookie of the year honors. He said, quote, "It speaks volumes to the type of people you have in the building." Your MVP of the 2023 National Football League season, Lamar Jackson, got his second MVP award, becoming the 11th player to get multiple awards, joins an elite list of legends in the game that have won more than one. He got 49 out of 50 first place votes. When he won his first MVP in 2019, he got all 50. He missed, becoming just the second player ever, behind only the GOAT so far, Tom Brady, to go 2 for 2 with 2 consensus ballots turned in. Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett out of Cleveland. Once the first overall pick in the draft, won his first ever DPOY award after a stellar season, 14 sacks for the Browns defense. Part of the reason the Browns were in the playoffs, but there was competition for this award. Max Crosby, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons were all in the mix as well. Garrett won the trophy despite not leading the NFL in sacks. That was TJ Watt, who had 19. Garrett got 23 first place votes. TJ Watt got 19. Micah Parsons got 7. And DaRon Bland got 1 when it was all said and done. That probably the most controversial trophy that was handed out last night by the NFL media. Your 2023 Coach of the Year, Cleveland Browns manager Kevin Stefanski, won a close race. He and DeMeco Ryans both had 165 votes, but Stefanski got the go-ahead nod. Why? Because he had 1 more first-place vote than DeMeco Ryans. The NFL expanded the awards voting process to votes for first, second, and third, and decided in case of a points tie, and there was, whoever had more first-place votes would get the nod. That is why Kevin Stefanski, after leading the Browns to the playoffs despite using 4 different starting quarterbacks on the season, ended up with that award. Personally, I got no issue with it. And I think the quarterback rotation is the reason Stefanski gets the nod over DeMeco Ryans. If he had a starting quarterback all year, I think DeMeco Ryans would have been that dude. Stefanski getting it, no issue as well. Offensive Player of the Year award went to 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey. He led the NFL in yards from scrimmage and total touchdowns, which was enough to overcome Tyreek Hill for the OPOY. He got 39 out of the 50 first place votes. Tyreek got 7. CeeDee Lamb got 1 and finished in third place over Lamar Jackson. Lamar got 3 first place votes, but Lamb got more second and third place votes. Your NFL Comeback Player of the Year award, just edging out man who died and then undied in front of our very eyes, Damar Hamlin, was Browns quarterback Joe Flacco. Hamlin actually ended up with more first place votes by a pretty healthy margin. Flacco got 13. Damar Hamlin got 21 first place votes, but it was everywhere else. Flacco had 26 second place votes. Hamlin had 7. And that's where Joe Flacco made up the ground, 151 to 140. Baker Mayfield actually checked in third, 10-10 and 13. Matt Stafford in 4th overall. Flacco, of course, signed by Cleveland in mid-November. He was signed from his couch because he was not playing anywhere before he was given the shot to replace injured Deshaun Watson and a host of other quarterbacks. Turned 39 last month, played well down the stretch in the regular season. Of course, did not have the greatest playoff appearance, but also was in a real tough spot when he was asked to do it. And your Walter Payton Man of the Year award, Pittsburgh Steelers defensive tackle Cam Hayward got that award, a 6-time Pro Bowler and 3-time All-Pro. runs the Cam's Kindness Week in Pittsburgh and won the Community Service Award presented by Prince Harry. That's how you know it's an important award.
So Prince Harry as in royalty from across the pond?
Oh,
Prince Harry?
governor.
Okay.
That's the one. I don't know why. I don't
You're
know why
welcome. I
said that.
gave you the
Yeah, I don't know why
opportunity.
I said
You were
that.
so happy to do it, though.
Oh, governor. I don't know why I needed to do that. Do I make the Hall of Fame item number 2, or do I wrap it up into this one, Lonzo? What do I do here? Because I got plenty of stories. So do I make the NFL Hall of Fame class of 2023 or 2024 its own?
It's a separate thing.
Item number 2. The Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2024 was announced yesterday evening. The newest members include defensive end and outside linebacker Dwight Freeney, linebacker Randy. I'm not going to lie. Is it Gradishire? He played before I was alive.
When did he play?
Like a long time ago.
Yeah, he might have played before I was alive. I don't know.
I think he was right there when you were all right, you know what? I'm going to look it up.
That's the only name that I didn't recognize.
I'm not going to lie. I don't.
Hey, but he made it in. Good for him.
Let me put it this way. You know how, you ever bought the NFL mini helmets, and you know how they have the real big over proportionate face mask on them? That's what his actual helmet looked like when he played. He played in the National Football League from 1974 to 1983.
Okay, so I was alive.
Yeah. He was your NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 78, a 2-time first-team All-Pro in 77 and 78, a 3-time second-team All-Pro, a 7-time Pro Bowler. He is in the Broncos Ring of Fame. He was a unanimous All-American in 73.
There it is. That's why I don't know. He's a Bronco.
Yes, for sure.
He's a Bronco.
He is, however, Lonzo, if you would like to walk it back, he is an Ohioan.
Okay. Did he play for Ohio State?
He is an Ohio State Varsity Hall of Famer and Ohio State football all-century team, and he played his ball at Ohio State University. He's a Buckeye.
No, you said not
disrespect.
So he played at Ohio University.
Disrespect.
No, not really. Good for him that he made it in. Unfortunately, is it backdooring kind of making it in this way? As
a senior guy.
Yeah, you still made it in.
No, I don't think it is, and let me tell you why.
Do you feel any less? I mean, we're never going to be in the NFL Hall of Fame. At least I don't think so.
I don't know. I haven't given up. Dreams can come true. My mom told me I could do whatever I set my mind to.
Are broadcasters in the NFL Hall of Fame?
I actually believe you can.
Okay,
and as a broadcaster.
So you got to get going. I'm not going to make it, but you got a shot at it. So I mean, so maybe someday you will.
Let's see. In the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Pat Summerall is in there. Leslie Visser's in there. John Madden obviously is in there. Andrea Kramer is in there. Dick Enberg is in there. Irv Cross, Dan Deerdorf is in there. Frank Gifford is in there. Troy Aikman is in. Terry Bradshaw as in. Ed Sable is in. Jimmy Johnson in as a broadcaster and a coach. Jim Brown is in. Eric Dickerson is in. Shannon Sharp is in. So yeah, apparently not only can you, apparently it's easier to make it in as a broadcaster than it is a player.
Life goal, Rob. You can do this. I'm pulling for you.
Dude, I know it's stupid and I'll never accomplish it, but damn it, do I want to?
Yeah, why would you not?
Let's see.
I mean, you still got another 30 years in radio. Why not?
I believe 30 years. That's true. I'm only going to be 69. Nice.
Right.
In 30 years.
Yeah.
Al Michaels is in.
Bronco
Dan Fouts is in. I feel like I got a shot here. If Dennis Miller can get in, I can get in, damn it. That's all I'm saying.
I like Dennis Miller on Monday nights, but
I thought he was pretty. I'm not a big Dennis Miller guy.
He's too intelligent for some of the people who are listening. Yeah. Anyway, what? Put the politics out of it. His.
I am. I'm not a fan of his comedy. It's like oversaturated.
At the time when he came out doing what he was doing,
He was on top of the world.
He was.
I will not disagree with that.
Nobody else was doing it. So, yeah.
Does anybody tell George Kittle he looks like the Unabomber with the glasses? Or is that just a thing we do to Brock Purdy?
I don't know. If you ask him, how would he answer?
Power bomb. Be my guess.
He gave you
All
a
right.
chance to play your cut, but you just didn't have it up because you're.
I don't know.
I forgot it was there.
Yeah, you're right. He probably would clothesline the guy.
The newest members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame defensive end outside linebacker Dwight Freeney, linebacker that guy we just talked about, kick returner, punt returner, and wide receiver Devin Hester, wide receiver Andre Johnson, defensive tackle and nose tackle Steve McMichael, and defensive end linebacker.
Does he not have
Peppers
Mongo
and
in there?
Patrick Willis.
Does he not have Mongo in his name?
Steve McMichael, Hall of Fame.
Steve, no, Mongo was his nickname. Steve Mongo McMichael.
I know.
I mean, I would think if he had anything to do with it, he would have put it in there.
6 of the 7 inductees were already informed. McMichael and his wife received the news in a phone call from former Bears teammate Richard Dent. The Hall's 50-person selection committee met virtually back in January to conduct the vote. McMichael and Gradishar were elected as senior candidates. The other senior candidate, Art Powell, and coach contributor candidate Buddy Parker did not receive the 80% approval necessary for election. Julius Peppers, the only modern era candidate selected in his first year of eligibility. Tight end Antonio Gates did not make it in his first year. If Antonio Gates can't make it in the first ballot, who the hell can?
Well,
besides Julius Peppers, apparently.
Tony Gonzalez.
Find out. Defensive end Jared Allen, offensive tackle Willie Anderson, offensive guard Jari Evans, safety Rodney Harrison, receiver Torrey Holt, running back Fast Freddie Taylor, receiver Reggie Wayne, and safety Darren Woodson were the other finalists who did not make it in. Any of those names jump out at you as guys who definitely should have?
Lots of indie guys.
Yep.
And Jared Allen. I think Jared Allen stands out to me.
See, Jared Allen's a hell of a player, but I wondered, were we more like Jared Allen had real good numbers? Did we love Jared Allen because he was a great defensive player, or because he was a great personality who played defense? Guy that rides his horse on the field for reasons.
I thought he was a great player.
Fair enough. I'm not going to kick back on that at all. He absolutely
all
was.
the other stuff was cool too, but yeah, he was a great player.
See, Torrey Holt's an interesting one to me, because on one hand, Torrey Holt was a great receiver. On the other hand, Torrey Holt, another guy that was surrounded by so much talent that you're like, were you great, or were you great because of where you were? And I think that's a fair question to ask about Torrey Holt.
The same problem was, and I forget his name because I'm old, not because his name is forgettable. The receiver core for the Pittsburgh Steelers, for Terry Bradshaw. One of them, it took forever to get in there. And I forget which one it was. I don't think it was Lynn Swan. It was the other one. But also a very talented team. And so it took him forever to get in.
John Stallworth?
It could be Stallworth. I know there was one of them. So Holt is probably going to have that problem.
I think so. I think Holt played in an offense that had so much talent around. It's like McCaffrey with the MVP. Like, were you the best player offensively? Hell yeah, you were. Were you MVP? I don't think so, because if I took you away, that team would still be really good. Torrey Holt's kind of in that group. Reggie Wayne, I think, should absolutely have gotten in on this ballot. Darren Woodson, I would say, is borderline to me. And I'm not going to comment on Jari Evans because I think he's one of the best guards I've ever seen play, but he was also a Saint for the run to the Super Bowl, so it's hard for me not to be biased there.
Well, it's okay to be biased. There's the names that are going to be eligible next year is going to bode.
List, dude.
It's going to be a problem for the guys who didn't make it this year.
Sincerely.
Yeah.
Next year we'll come to the 2025 class next, because that list is insane, dude. That's insane. Luke Kuechly's on that list. Eli's on that list. Marshawn, Terrell Suggs, Darren Sproles, Joe Staley, Aqib Talib, Demaryius Thomas, Clay Matthews, Ryan Khalil. It's a list. It also points out how bleeping old I am, because all these guys were playing in their prime when I was already a grown-ass man. Ouch. Oh, we should probably get to item number 3. A Carolina-specific all NFL in the water cooler cheat sheet today. Why not? It's Super Bowl week. Belongs to them. There's plenty of other stuff to get to, and we'll get to it on the show.
Yeah, because next week there's no football. Unless you count the UFL.
No! I got to lower the volume on that.
Yeah.
That's dramatic.
You just scared someone out today.
Real dramatic.
Or maybe
Wake up!
several someones. Yeah, it's 7:20. You're late. Come on, let's go.
Dave Canellis is yet to coach his first
I
game
wasn't
for the Carolina
talking
Panthers.
to you. I was talking to the
I
listeners.
know, that's why I was moving past it.
Okay, all right.
I didn't take it that way. Dave Canellis is yet to coach a game for the Carolina Panthers, but yesterday secured what I personally, Rob Brown, thinks was the biggest win of his tenure so far as the head coach, as it was announced that Ejiro Evero would be back for the Carolina Panthers as their defensive coordinator. Remains on staff along with a chunk of his defensive coaching staff during the introductory news conference last week. Canella said he had great respect for Ejiro Evero's coaching ability and said it was one of, if not his top priority, to keep EE and the continuity on defense by bringing him back. Canella said, "This for me is a huge piece of what we're doing." And quote, Tampa Bay's offense, led by Dave Canellis, struggled against Carolina last season, scoring just 30 total points between the two contests, just 9 in the final game of the year when Tampa had a divisional championship on the line. Canella said, quote, "Just the respect factor that I had going against them. I know this scheme going against it. I'm really excited to learn more about the ins and outs as far as how the calls come in, the adjustments and all that. I just know it was really difficult for me on me for years, whether it was in Seattle going against the Rams and that family or this year going against EJ twice." And quote, I'll tell you why I like this. Aside from the fact that whether you like it or whether you don't, whether you love it, what? Or whether you hate it, what? You will respect it. Double E's defense last year was good in the face of a mountain of challenges presented by the Carolina Panthers. And more importantly than that, this does what I think they absolutely need to have happen. Dave Canellis can focus on the offense. Dave Canellis can focus on Bryce Young. Dave Canellis doesn't have to worry about the defense because he knows the defense is taken care of by Double E, Ejiro Evero, meaning Dave Canellis can stay dialed in on the offense, which is the problem in Carolina. That is why this was a big deal. I don't need to bring in a new guy. I don't need to bring in a young boy. I don't need to bring in somebody that I have to integrate and ingratiate them into the franchise. This dude's already here. He is the veteran leader of this coaching staff now. Dave Canellis can stay squared up on BY9 and not worry about the other side of the football, and I love that. I really do. Ladies and gentlemen, there's your water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 stories you need to know before you head to work and start talking sports with your coworkers this AM. Let us take a break. Let us come back and let's clock in and lock in with Rob's favorite Super Bowl bets and, more importantly, what they tell us about the game coming up on Sunday. The big game, TM, coming up this weekend.
No, the Super Bowl.
I know, I'm making fun of everybody else when I say that. Robin Lonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
You see.
All right, guys, got a live read, and then we're coming right back. Please don't go anywhere. right, dudes and dudettes, we're back. Thanks for being here. Morning, Zach. Welcome in. I agree. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. As it has been brought up multiple times in the chat, on the text line, etc., yes, and this may shock some of you and the rest, not at all. Coming up in the last hour of the show, Lonzo and I absolutely will address what happened last night at the WWE press conference, a press conference that sold out an NBA arena to watch people talk. Yeah, it was good. It was real good, like real good. So we're going to talk about that coming up later on in the show. But right now, let's do a little clock in and lock in. Let's take a look at some of the prop bets available to you for the Super Bowl. Now, I bring this up not just because of the actual gambling side of it, though I do find it very interesting. I bring it up because, as I've mentioned many, many times, I think you get your best analysis of a football contest based on the lines that Vegas gives you. Vegas has a demand placed on them to get as close to what actually happens as they possibly can. They want 50% of the bets coming in on one side and 50% of the bets coming on the other side so that they can make some money. They call it juice. That is the little bit of a penalty you pay for taking a bet. For instance, if you were to bet right now on the Super Bowl spread, which is San Francisco -2, meaning Vegas thinks the 49ers win this game, you are paying a little bit of money. It's -110. That means you got to throw $110 into the pot to win 100 back. They do that 10 on the bet. That is basically your betting fee, right? All the people who win the bet are going to get $100 back. But for every bet, if they hit that 50% of the bets on one side, 50% on the other mark that they strive for. And right now, by the way, they're not doing that. And I'll tell you about that in just a minute. But if they hit that 50% mark, yes, they're going to hand out lots of $100 bills to the people who bet the correct side, but they're going to make $10 back, because if I bet on the Niners and Lonzo bets on the Chief and we both have to put $110 down, then what happens is we have $220 down. And somebody's going to win their money back, which means that they're going to give, if the Chiefs win, Lonzo his $100 that he bet. Then they're going to give him the $110 that he bet. Then they're going to give him the $100 that he won. And what do they have left in the pot? They have my $10 as the difference, right? That's why it's -110 or -120 or whatever the case might be, because in that spot, that's where they make that money. It's the difference.
Thank you. Because I over the years, you're explaining gambling to me. I got that. I may forget it by the end of the show, but right now I actually grasp that, because you were saying 50% on one side, 50% on the other, and they're going to make the money. I'm like, how are they going to make the money?
So the minus money right there, that -110, and most of the bets you're going to look at are going to be like -110, and we'll talk about the pluses and the minuses here in a minute. But at -110, if both of us bet $110 so that we can win 100 back, then there's $220 on the table. Somebody's going to win. If you bet Chiefs and I bet Niners, somebody's going to win, which means you get your 110 that you bet back plus the 100 you won. That's $110. There's $10 on the table. That's the Vegas cut. And that's where they make their money. So let's take a look at some of the prop numbers. Now, we looked at Patrick Mahomes' numbers earlier in the week. His number at the beginning part of the week was 262.5 passing yards. That number's actually dropped down, but only a yard to 261.5. Mahomes is averaging down the stretch in the regular season around 261 yards, which means, Alonzo, that at least right now, Vegas does not, nor does the general public, believe that Patrick Mahomes is going to go, if he does over average, not terribly far over average. They think he's going to play an average postseason game. Why does this number matter to me? It matters to me because there's so much talent that if Patrick Mahomes has an average day, I don't think he's your Super Bowl MVP. He is right now the favorite to win the Super Bowl MVP at plus 135. Brock Purdy plus 230, Christian McCaffrey plus 450. If McCaffrey's going to have an average day, and Vegas and the public right now think that he does, I can't bet on him to be the MVP because I think with as much talent there is, so somebody has a breakout game in the Super Bowl, right? Somebody has a day. Somebody has a performance we talk about as individually special on Monday.
Could
and
even
if it's
be
not Mahomes, that's your MVP.
It could even be a special teamer. We've
Absolutely
seen it
could.
before. So,
and we have seen at least once a special teamer win the Super Bowl MVP award. So it is a possibility, a long shot, but a possibility nonetheless. So you have two questions to ask yourself now. Question number one, I talked about this on BetMGM tonight. Question number one is, who do you think wins? Because more likely than not, the Super Bowl MVP is coming off the team that wins. But I did say last night, I think with as much skill position talent as there is on San Francisco's side, there is the chance that Kansas City wins, but the performance of a player on the losing team is undeniable. For instance, what do you do if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl? Let's say a 27-24 win or a 23-21 win. But Christian McCaffrey goes for 190 and 3 touchdowns. He is your MVP, even if he lost the game. But are you willing to take that kind of gamble? If you feel like the winner has to come from the winning team, it cuts the number of available players in half. And if Mahomes, and you think the Chiefs are going to win, if Mahomes is going to have an average day, then do you take a flyer on Travis Kelce at 13-1? If he goes 116 and a touchdown and Mahomes has an average day, he could absolutely win it. What about Isaiah Pacheco? He's my favorite MVP flyer right now. He is 28-1 to win the MVP. Now, this is interesting to me. Why? Because all of the rushing props for Kansas City are higher than average down the stretch. They're expecting more carries for Pacheco than he was getting late in the season. They're expecting more yards from Pacheco than he was getting late in the season. So if you were expecting Kansas City, and I do, to lean heavy on the run in this game, great one, then Isaiah Pacheco being a 28-1 MVP candidate to me makes him worth a gamble. More importantly, all of those numbers tell me Kansas City tries to ground and pound this football game and allow Patrick to make special plays around the run game as opposed to try to run them around Patrick Mahomes' special plays. And that makes a big difference to me.
I just wonder why that line is a little bit higher. Does that mean that San Francisco's run defense is not that good?
San Francisco's pass rush is excellent. The run defense is above average, but it's not spectacular. I mean, it's good. But I think against...
And Kansas City has played a couple teams that had really good run defenses.
Oh, for sure.
In Buffalo and Baltimore, and did okay against them. So, okay, all right.
I would also make the argument, though, and again, this is I'll say subjective, maybe borderline subjective. I would also argue in those games, though, the Chiefs didn't feature the run. The Chiefs still tried to be a passing team that also ran the ball. I think in Buffalo, I think it was Buffalo.
Would
you say they featured the run
the
against
very
Buffalo?
first series?
Sure.
They just handed it to Pacheco, and he kept going and going and going, and then they went away from it.
That's probably not unfair. My question is, do we see that handled differently in this game? Does Kansas City become a run-first team? And again, the fact that they have predicted Patrick Mahomes to have a somewhat average day, but they've got Pacheco's props all up above average, leads me to believe the word in the wind right now is Kansas City's going to end up running the game. Isaiah Pacheco, rushing yardage, over 67.5 yards. That's a big number. Rushing attempts. Here's the number that kind of blows my mind. The number for Pacheco was hanging around 14.5, 15.5 down at the end of the regular season. It is at 16.5. And here's the interesting number, though. The under is favorited. The over 16.5 is an even money plus 100. Bet 100, win 100. So it's a higher number than it has been down the stretch, Lonzo, but the juice, the favorites, are under. So they moved the number up, but then, and by the way, this is an updated number because this was different than it was in the beginning of the week, but part of it comes from the fact that the later you get into the betting or into Super Bowl week, I told you guys this back last week. There are three groups of bettors in any given NFL game. You have the early line bettors. Those are the people that those numbers come out. I'll give you the example. Usually the next week's numbers come out around halftime of the Sunday night football game the week before, right? Around halftime of the Sunday night football game, you get next week's numbers. And there are people like me who scan those numbers because you're looking for any that seem off. I'll give you an example. New York and Miami had a game towards the end of the year last year. And when the line dropped, New York was like a 3.5 point underdog initially. A lot of people were thinking like, oh, okay, they found a little bit of momentum. The Dolphins are struggling. But to me, it felt like Miami was always going to beat the hell out of New York, right? That line opened at like 3.5 in favor of the Dolphins. I murdered that line, smashed that line. It got up to like almost 10 before it was dead. That was a missed line. There are people like me who like to look for those kind of off numbers early on. I felt like at the very beginning, Kansas City +3, that felt like a win for me, right? They could be within a field goal. I got them at +3 when it opened. It immediately went down to 2.5, then down to 1.5. It has since come back and settled at 3. I'll tell you why in a minute. Then there's the second group of people who are the people who bet not early but not late, kind of in the middle of the week when things are settled. They are taking a gamble there. I don't love midweek betting. I'm not a fan of midweek betting. Either bet the line when it comes out before it moves or bet it late once you have all the information. And that is what the third group of bettors does. These are the people that are going to bet this weekend. You're going to see a big flush of cash come in on Saturday night. You're going to see a huge flush of cash come in on Sunday. And that is when you're going to get the biggest line change. I suspect that a lot of people initially bet the Chiefs when the line came out 2 weeks ago after the AFC title game. A lot of us bet the Chiefs right out of the gate. A lot of people were going to hang on for San Francisco because you're going, okay, that line's moved from 3 to 2.5, from 2.5 down to 1.5, 1.5 back to 2. I'm going to wait. Because if you want to bet San Francisco, you're hoping that line is maybe going to jump. If you grab San Francisco -1.5, that so far was the best option you had. But here's the interesting thing, though. Since this came out, and keep in mind, this dates all the way back to when the line came out 2 weeks ago, 73% of the money and 68% of the bets against the spread are for San Francisco. Are for Kansas City, are against San Francisco. So if you're a San Francisco fan, you might be waiting till the very end, right? I'm going to let the Chiefs bettors shrink that number down because it may go down. It's sitting at 2 right now. You are taking the risk that a lot of the public is going to hammer the Chiefs tomorrow and Sunday morning, and maybe that line goes from -2 down to -1.5, maybe -1. Maybe it goes all the way down to a pick'em game. In which case, now if you're San Francisco, you have to give away fewer points. So this line's going to shift a little bit as we head towards Sunday evening and the kickoff of the Super Bowl. But looking at the props right now, what's interesting to me is that Pacheco's rushing numbers, though, have actually come down a little bit. They've actually come down. The under 16.5, when they set that 16.5 number, it was like most of your props, -110 on either side. Now it's -130 on the under and even money on the over. And what that means is right now, Vegas is trying to tempt people into betting the over 16.5. Means they had a lot of people that slammed Pacheco on the under. They're trying to get some money to come in on the over to level it out. And it makes me kind of want to bet the over here. Not just because I'm getting the even money, but because I'm getting the even money and so much of the public went on the under, Vegas thinks it's going to be right there at that number with the over and the plus money. I like Isaiah Pacheco to have a big day. His rushing yards at 67.5. Look, if you think he's going to go with the over on the carries, the over on the yardage is right there. And like I said, I think it's a Kansas City rush game. We'll talk more about the game as the show moves on. We'll give you some of the props I think hit when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. It is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys, live reading. Then we're coming right back. Don't go anywhere. right, dudes and dudettes, we are back. Thanks for hanging in there. Steven's birthday. Happy birthday, fella. Wrapping up hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. We are looking at Super Bowl prop picks for Super Bowl 58. If you would like to get in on the conversation, the renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone, 844-326-3663. Texas 71307. All right, so let's lock in a couple of these props. Let's take a look at some of the ones that we like and that we don't. I'm going to start with this one. I said this one earlier in the week. I like this one the closer we get. It is minus money. In fact, you got to pay some juice for it at minus 140, but Patrick Mahomes over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Again, I'm not telling you the bet so that you can tail or not. I'm telling you the bets so I can tell you what I think is going to happen in the game. Mahomes threw only 1 touchdown against the Ravens in the AFC title game, but you go back against the Bills, he threw 2. That's, to me, a very high-pressure game on the road against a rival. Granted, the AFC title game was high pressure with the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, but Mahomes has done this in the Super Bowl through 3 last year. I think he's getting 2 passing touchdowns, and I will also go, without a doubt, I think going with a Travis Kelce touchdown prop is the way to go, but I'm going to go one step further. I liked Travis Kelce and the over passing yardage against the Ravens. I like him again here for the exact same reason. San Francisco is going to play a heavy DB-based defense on the outside, predominantly against Rashee Rice, because I've said this a number of times. You have effectively, even though MVS has looked better for Kansas City down the stretch, you have 2 receiving threats you have to negate to the best of your ability, Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. And if I'm going to blanket one of those 2 guys to keep him from killing me, it's going to be Rashee Rice. Because Travis Kelce, absolutely a guy who can get you a big catch. His longest reception prop is 20.5 yards. And I like that. I think he can get like a 23, 24-yarder somewhere in there. But Kelce's not the guy that's going to catch a 17-yard pass and then house it on you. Rashee Rice is. And if you're going to bracket Rashee Rice, if you are going to tilt your coverage towards Rashee Rice, that means you have to make the middle of the field vulnerable. And if you have to make the middle of the field vulnerable, that's where Travis Kelce thrives. That's exactly what Baltimore did. They tried to take Rashee Rice out of the game. And I would argue for a while it worked. He was relatively quiet a good chunk of that game. But because Rashee Rice was quiet, Travis Kelce was not. And there's plenty of times that you look and you go, all right, Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. That was on video. They're going to see that. And they're not going to, they have to.
Well, here's the move. If you're going to do something, you're going to have to do something different in the second half. You could take someone away in the first half, but halftime adjustments, Andy Reid is the king of that.
Don't disagree. But at the same time, there are some times where you just got to go, I'm going to let my best players beat their best players at being best players. And Travis Kelce's one of those cats. I like Kelce to get that 70.5 receiving yards. In fact, I think he's going to threaten 100. I might juice that up to like 80 and get that number into plus money. Christian McCaffrey, receiving yard number 35.5. The over is minus 120. I like this one as well. Hit that number in 7 games during the regular season. Hit it again in the NFC Championship game against the Lions. 42 receiving yards on 4 receptions. My man's getting over 10 yards a reception right now. And at 35, that means he just gets 4 catches. Where is, here, let's ask noted Kansas City Chiefs fan, Lonzo, what's the heart and soul of your Kansas City defense, Lonzo? What would you say it is? DBs. And if the heart and soul is the DB, who becomes the most valuable pass catcher out of an offense? The running back. The flats, the curls, the wheel routes. If the DBs are locking up wide receivers, the running back as a receiver becomes valuable. You add in the fact that Chris Jones has been a monster for this team. That means what? Brock Purdy has got to get rid of the ball in a hurry. If he's got to get rid of the ball in a hurry, and the DBs are the heart and soul of the Kansas City defense, who does that make valuable? Who suddenly makes 4 catches look very reasonable? Not just reasonable, to me, expected. Christian McCaffrey. San Francisco leans on McCaffrey in this game. I don't have any doubt about that. I'll give you one more that I really like. Kyle Juszczyk, over 0.5 receptions, over 2.5 receiving yards. That feels easy to me. Juszczyk needs 1 catch for 3 yards, and he ticks both of those boxes. I love that. Why? Because Juszczyk is a nice little, oh, you forgot about me option as a pass catcher. Yeah, he's a big bruising fullback. And you got to play him as a big bruising fullback. And if you got to play him as a big bruising fullback, how do you do that? You put a big bruising linebacker on him. You put a guy in the middle on him. If you're going to put a guy in the middle on him, what am I going to do if I'm Kyle Shanahan? I'm going to put him out there in a pass catching opportunity, right? That's what they did in the NFC title game late. Juszczyk had that, 11-yard catch for a first down that sealed the game, that allowed San Francisco to run out the clock. They're going to have the same opportunity here. Now, you're going to feel a lot better about it if San Francisco's got the lead in the fourth quarter and they are trying to get first downs to burn up the clock. But I think Juszczyk to get 1 catch for 3 yards is pretty reasonable. All of that to say, San Francisco's offense going to be predicated, dink and dunk your way down the field, and occasionally find Debo and Ayuk. That's also why I'm going under on the Ayuk and Debo props, because they are set high. They are expecting them to chunk the rock. I don't think that's going to be the play for either one of these teams. It's also why Rob Brown's playing the under 57.5 points. I think you're looking at a game that is somewhere in the mid-20s for both teams. Speaking of the over, I'm going to take Lonzo to go over 57.5 seconds on this Sports Flash.
I hope not, because then I'll talk the music. The NFL's 2024 Hall of Fame class was announced last night. 7 players will be enshrined in the hall in the fall. Defensive end Julius Peppers, who spent 7 years with the Carolina Panthers. Linebackers Dwight Freeney and Patrick Willis. Kick return expert Devin Hester, and wide receiver Andre Johnson. Linebacker Randy Gradishir and defensive tackles Steve Mongo McMichael were senior finalists. A good sleep is important, and no one knows that better than the San Francisco 49ers, a team staying in a hotel on their outskirts of Vegas. Woke up very early yesterday as a fire alarm went off at 6:03. Christian McCaffrey thinks it wasn't on purpose. It's so precious. We are your exclusive home for the Super Bowl. Tune in Sunday starting at 2 p.m. right here on The Fan Upstate. You didn't rattle me, Steven. My chest did. Try to swallow the cough, which is sometimes works.
Latest regular season success to the playoffs, Miami could be in the big game next year. The road to the big game, brought to you by Mountain Dew Baja Blast. For the past 20 years, you've enjoyed the refreshing tropical lime flavor of Mountain Dew Baja Blast. So in celebration of this milestone, we're bringing Baja Blast in stores nationwide. And for a limited time, with every purchase of Baja Blast, you can collect coins for a chance to get Baja gear or a Taco Bell deal. 2024 is the year of Baja Blast. In stores now. No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 18 plus. Subject to official rules at Baja Blast.
No, he had it was fall on there. I just second guessed myself. I thought I covered it well. I just Stop being hypercritical, Stephen. Happy birthday.
Drug-free treatments that deliver lasting results. Knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain from arthritis or injury. Don't let this pain keep you from living your best life. QC Kinetics advanced state-of-the-art treatments harness and direct your body's natural ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. This is a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downtime. Make 2024 the year you reclaim your mobility, reclaim your independence, walk and run, play and live without the danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
So I've decided to tweak the bracket again for me and make it comic book / cartoon sidekicks. Because here's the problem. Marvel didn't do sidekicks because they decided that it was not ethical to put children in those circumstances.
In fairness, you got to admit.
No. I agree.
Is.
No, I get it, but it's also not real. So, in adding cartoons, I can add Barney Rubble. Definitely a sidekick.
That's fair.
Like 6 weeks of PTO accrued.
However, is there any chance Robin doesn't win that?
Right now, I have 4 Robins in there. There are more than that, but I'm only going with 4. Because
stacking the
no. The game has turned hostile. Last year, it was very hostile. A Robin won't make it out of the first round because especially if Tim's there, because Tim will purposefully, and so will Matthew. So now everyone's playing against each other, and so it becomes a little heated, more so than usual. Last year was downright mean near the end. So
Hey everyone, it's Joe Montana. Spreading the word about pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial.
Smith and James in the first break.
If you're 65 or older like me, you're at increased risk. So, what's the game plan? A strong defense. Pneumococcal pneumonia can strike at any.
the other thing is, anyone who's listened to the show any period of time knows who my favorite comic book is, which is Nightwing, who used to be Robin. So they're going to try to get that out as fast as possible. Odie hasn't been tainted by it yet, I don't think. So he might actually answer honestly. But he won't know anybody. So I don't know.
And away we go with the third hour of the Rob Brown Radio program right here on the Fan Upstate. Robin Alonso with you on a beautiful Upstate Friday morning.
Were you uncertain if it was the third hour? Because this hesitation, like, I think it's 3.
I don't know.
That's going to be so effective going forward. It helps so much.
That one's right up there. Where did it go? Oh, I lost the OG great answer.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest.
I like the Purdy one better because it's quicker.
Well, you're a producer.
Yeah, the other one you got to wait a while, and quick hits.
It was so perfect though.
It was
so perfect.
Well, it's horrible that he answered that way, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Shut the hell up.
A lot to get to here on the show, ladies and gentlemen, but let's start with this one. There is a fantastic rivalry in the National Football League, a rivalry that has swept the nation, a rivalry that you can't help but get emotionally invested in, a rivalry for the ages. And that rivalry will be in play coming up on Sunday. That rivalry will be, of course, the moment when Lonzo's watching the Chiefs and Tony Romo starts talking. The greatest rivalry in the National Football League.
Wow. That's just, I was wondering where you're going, and you again went there. Wow.
Tony Romo and Jim Nantz will be on the call. And Nantz and Romo spoke at Media Day earlier this week. Apparently last offseason, we talked about this when it happened, CBS staged an intervention with Tony Romo. They were like, hey, dude, we love you. You're great. You're spectacular. We're big fans, but we kind of need you to get your life together, big dog. We kind of need you to get it together. We kind of need you to stop coasting, man.
You're making it sound like he had a substance problem or something.
He did. Laziness. As a lazy person, I understand the addiction.
So I guess I should have, the way I worded it must be exactly what I'm thinking. He speaks and there is no substance. That's my problem with him.
I think the problem was that at the beginning of the Romo era on CBS Sports, everything he said was good.
I'm going to shock you here. Why can't Tom Brady replace Tony Romo?
I'll tell you why.
Because they're in different companies.
Yes, that's why. When Romo got his start, when Romo started, I thought Romo was maybe the best color guy I'd ever heard. It was hands down better than Chris Collinsworth. Hands down, not a question, better than Chris Collinsworth. And I enjoyed Romo because I thought Romo did a fantastic job of talking like a quarterback who talked like a regular person. And I appreciated that. And then as time marches on, as Tracy Lawrence once said. I think he kind of got to a point where Romo maybe felt like it was below his pay grade to talk to normal American football fans. Romo could talk to me like that because I have a master's degree in knowing ball. So he could absolutely use football lingo and it would work just fine, but maybe not to my mom.
Is that the only way you can say lingo?
Lingo. But he couldn't talk like he has a master's degree in ball knowing.
So why are you talking to your mom for? She probably knows more ball than most people.
My mom absolutely does
because
know
she
more ball than most
beget
people.
the greatest knower of ball of all time.
But I'm also going to go with, if you ask my mom what a cover one robber is, she's not going to know that.
Yeah, me either.
Right.
Because I don't care enough to know. I want to watch the game as the guy who's enjoying the game. I don't want to break down all the X's and O's because I'm not a nerd like that, and I don't want to do that. It's
Sorry about my language.
Go outside, nerd.
yeah, that's to me that's the boring part.
Oh, that's my
That's why I
favorite
do,
part
that's
of
why I
football.
don't like stat shows. That's why I don't like. I mean, I ain't this guy talking whenever suddenly the stats like that come into. I mean, I'm glad you know. I apparently you spent a lot of time in Madden going, okay, what's this play? That was a good part about that game. Video games can teach you what coverages are and things like that. But in the end, I don't care. Make the play.
Haters. They like to drink their haterade and eat their hater tots.
How many sports fans listening to sports radio are like me, and how many are like you? What's the mix? Because there is definitely a mix listening.
Here's my thing. And this I will acknowledge that this is probably the biggest philosophical difference in our broadcasting between you and I. To me, that's the game. That is the game. The X's and O's are the game. Because if you approach it in this job like a fan, and I'm not saying you never do that. I love when football's just football, when it's great drama, when it's the best athletes in the world doing the best athletic things in the world. It's fun to talk about. Oh, how cool is it to see McCaffrey doing what he's doing in San Francisco? And that is absolutely a segment. I did that last night on BetMGM.
So when you're sitting at the sports bar, you talked about at the beginning of the show, here's what you wanted the show to be, which is exactly the kind of show that I wanted to be a part of and was told would not work. And here we are 2 awards later. I would have a different conversation. Do you have that conversation when you're sitting there with like 5 or 6 guys? Is it you and one guy breaking down the plays and the rest of the guys going, yeah, good play?
Let me finish what I was saying. I'll answer the question. To me, the story of Christian McCaffrey is a fantastic human drama story. The guy that laid it on the line in Carolina, got his body toe up in Carolina because for years they asked this guy to run ISO off guard into the teeth of defensive lines in the NFC South, which for years had great defensive lines.
What does ISO off guard mean?
ISO off guard means you're running the football with your running back off the guard, and your blocking scheme is set up in a way so that the running back is isolated against one linebacker, one defensive player, and you are utilizing a blocking scheme to create a situation where you are asking your running back to beat one guy. It's creating a human Oklahoma drill.
As a pulling guard, I was told you pull and you hit that guy.
Correct.
Yeah,
so
I get that.
That's the blocking scheme, right? I may have my backside guard pull and try to kick out the 5 technique so that my running back can run in the back pocket of the offensive guard. And now he's isolated against the strong side linebacker.
What's the 5 technique? What
watched
player is
enough New Heights? The Kelsey's explained this fantastically.
But what player is the 5 technique?
That is ordinarily going to be your defensive tackle, but a split outside of the offensive guard. So
Why
you
don't-
go
why don't
0 is the heads up, 1,
Okay.
3, 5, 7. And different teams will have different alignments. You have a 5-eye, a 7-eye.
It sounds less haughty if you just say, okay, kick out and hit the tackle, or someone who's in the tackle spot.
But and this
not
is,
the 5 technique,
is
which
football.
makes it sound like an entire technique, not actually just a position on the field.
This is football. Because if I've got my defensive tackle who's lined up in a shade 3 as opposed to a 5, I may not want to block him with the pulling guard. I may have my
All
tackle.
right, how many of you people know what a shade 3 is? I'm just saying that it's like you're speaking a different language, and some people get the language and some people don't have Rosetta Stone. That's all I'm saying.
We are football babble. That's a nice little inside joke.
It's very inside, yes.
To me, these are things that you pick up as you hear other people talk about them, right? Like, yes, if you never played the game, you may not know what a 0 technique is, or a 3-3-eye, 5-5-eye, 7.
There needs to be an in between, which you usually do pretty well.
That's Tony Romo.
Yeah, no, I don't.
At his peak, that's what Romo was the best at. Was the best at saying, instead of going, here's McCaffrey running an ISO off guard right with the backside pulling guard, knocking out the 5 technique, and then this and then that, and here's your coverage. He would go, hey, your guard's going to pull. He's going to block this guy over here because he's outside. So they're going to block him out. McCaffrey's going to come up, and he's going to end up one-on-one with this linebacker, and they are trusting that he's going to be able to beat a linebacker. I thought Romo was at his best doing that.
See, and to me, I'm picturing you doing a Burns game. I'm doing color. I'm going, hey, Rob, here's what he's going to do. He's going to run. I look at how they're set up. He's going to run to the right. Then he does it. Then he doesn't say anything else. He waits to the next play. Hey, Rob, here's what's going to happen. It's going to be a pass. This guy's going to run deep. It doesn't happen. They move on to the next play. That is Romo almost every single time. I mean, early on when he was fresh out of the league, he was getting those right a bunch. He doesn't anymore because I believe he's out of touch with how the offenses of today are run because he doesn't play the game anymore. And now the things that worked for him early on make him look dumb when he gets them wrong.
That kind of sucks because if that's the case, there's no way. If Tony Romo can't do it, there's no way Rob Brown can know ball. And we all know Rob Brown has a master's degree in knowing ball.
Disagree. You look at it from a different angle than he does. He looks at it if he was on the field. You look at the whole field. He can't do that.
See, all right. So I'm going to go with for the intent and purposes of getting to the comments of one Jim Nance about Tony Romo. I will humbly disagree. I think if
you didn't pick this topic on purpose.
Oh, 100%
So,
I did.
yeah, okay. Yeah,
sure.
I know.
You can't play quarterback. You can't talk quarterback if you don't see the whole field. You can't do it. You have got to, if you are a quarterback, you have to know what your blocking scheme up front is, so you know where the weaknesses are. You've got to know what the rushing attack is from the defense and how it matches up with the blocking scheme in play. You've got to know every route from every person that's going out. You've got to be able to look at a defense and figure out what coverage they're in. What coverage they're showing you is not always going to be. In fact, most of the time, it's not the coverage that they're going to throw at you. They may look like they are in a cover 2. And then when it strikes up, they go with a cover 1 with a single high safety, and they roll the cornerback up to take the middle of the field away because we know Mahomes looks for 87. And so I'm going to show you cover 2 as if we were trying to take the deep ball away from Rashee Rice. But when the ball is snapped, all of a sudden the safety is going to run up wide because he's trying to take the middle of the field away from 87. And they are hoping that Patrick Mahomes doesn't see that. So Mahomes has got to not only see the cover 2, but then as soon as the ball snapped, he's got to be able to look at both safeties and go, all right, the strong side safety is coming to the middle of the field. So 87's out of play now, which means either 4 or 17 have got to be my guy. And then he's got to look and see what are those cornerbacks doing. All right, that cornerback dropped back. They're in his zone. That means that MVS is going to run a comeback route, and hopefully that DB is still going to be backpedaling. Bang, I hit him out of the break. Or he's in a man-to-man. MVS is not a guy who's going to burn his guy man-to-man, which means now 4 is my primary. Boom, I got to turn to Rashee. I got to look at where and see where Rashee is. That's not going to work because that single high safety is shaded to that side. So Rashee's running a fly route. I can't get it over the top because the safety is going to be there. Now I know I got to go to Pacheco on my breakdown. But wait a minute. What was that linebacker doing? Did the linebacker go out to cover in an outside zone? Did he stay home to spy on me? I got to be able to see where he at. And by the way, you got to do all of this, see all of this, understand all of this, break all of this down, and then execute it in less than 3 seconds. That's where football is played. That is how you have to approach the game to really know what's going on. If all you want to do is rah-rah, shish, boom, bah, let's go favorite guy on the field, that's fine.
That's what some people want to do. That's what a lot of people want to do.
I don't know how to make radio exclusively out of that. I don't know how to just come in here and go, Patrick Mahomes is so good. That's our segment today. How good is Mahomes?
Here's the thing. You mix it up. You throw that stuff in. You don't make it exclusively about all your breakdowns. You throw in the knowledge here and there. That's what makes you entertaining and award-winning.
That's Nance's job.
Yeah.
Right? That's
No.
move.
Nance's job is to do play-by-play, not to add any color to it. That's what the color guy's for. And when the color guy takes away from the play-by-play guy, then there's a problem.
Steven said, where can I download Rob Zetta Stone? I like that. That's good. You just ask me questions in the thread. That's what it's there for. That's what the stream chat is for. Nance's job as a play-by-play guy. And I can say this because I am, according to the South Carolina Broadcasters Association, the second best play-by-play guy in the state. I'm not, but I'm just.
Well, let me help you here. You are the best play-by-play guy in the upstate.
I'll take that. Yeah.
The other guy's
you hear that, Don Munson? Coming for you, brother. I love Don. He's the best.
Don is awesome.
Don's the best. So the job of a play-by-play guy is to do 2 things. Number one, yes, it is to describe what is happening on the field as it is happening. It's actually less important in TV to do that than it is on the radio. On the radio, I got to tell you 11 guys. I got to tell you what 11 guys are doing and then how the other 11 guys respond. In television, you can see it. So it's more about here's the down, here's the distance, here's what happened, here's the yardage, and then allowing the play-by-play guy to take over. The play-by-play guy's job is to X and O it.
You know what?
That's the job.
My dream for this weekend is the same guys who did the sound for NFL Honors take care of Tony Romo's mic.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the show last night.
Yeah, there was some really bad spots.
Was there really?
Yeah, there was.
How about who was it? Keegan-Michael Key just absolutely macho manning the Carolina Panthers last night. He said Taylor Swift's in Tokyo right now. The only people further away from the Super Bowl are the Carolina Panthers. Wait for it. There it is.
Wow, we got the rim shot. You haven't used it until now. I mean, there are so many opportunities where maybe no one else said anything funny.
So I am going to go with here. Nance said about Romo, quote, I love working with Tony. For anybody to ever even think that, well, again, I'm not even sure this is what they're saying. Our chemistry is great. Our time together is just like it is on the air. We have a bunch of laughter, a lot of fun. We see silliness. Sometimes we bring that silliness to the air. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. That's humor. But no, I don't want to say any more about it because you're asking me something that I'm not familiar with. The question was about, are you good with Romo's style? Can you operate with the way that Romo calls games? And Nance would go on to give a very long dissertation about how Romo, who signed a $180 million contract back in 2020, and that is going to keep him on the air through 2030.
Yeah, but
is still that guy.
There were rumors about division because of how much Tony Romo got paid. That Nance was upset about it,
Sure.
and maybe it's because I don't like Romo, but I heard some tense moments, I thought, during the year with some of the games they called where Nance is like, it seemed like, man, I got to deal with this guy. That was so stupid. I don't even know what to say.
I think that, and trust me, I understand this because as Lonzo has pointed out, I know I go down this path sometimes. I just make the assumption that because I know this team is running a cover zero, that everybody knows this team's running a cover zero. And so sometimes I will jump in. I'm guilty of doing this whenever I'm watching ball with people. I do this to the fiance all the time. And she's like, I don't know what you're saying right now.
Thank you. And
I'm not saying it's
that was my point. And
what I'm saying is,
here's the thing. I could know that, but I don't care to know it.
And that's fine.
Because I don't think it would add to my joy of the game.
But it does to a lot of people to know how a thing works. I like to know how things work. I like to know why things are the way that they are in football. Sports is no different to me. And I will acknowledge that part of that is part of the reason that I am, that I love doing play-by-play. It's my favorite thing to do on the radio is play-by-play. I'm okay at it, but I love to do it. And part of the reason why is because I like looking at a play and diagnosing why what happened, and then explaining it to people. Because I think there are probably a lot of people who maybe don't have the time to learn the difference between a cover zero and a cover one and a cover two and a cover three and different disguises and looks. And on the offensive side of the football, why a screen worked but didn't, right? So I like jumping into all that. And that, I think, is why I am a Tony Romo apologist and defender. Because I think Romo does, when he's on his game, a pretty good job of walking that tightrope between the people on one side like me, who absolutely want to get into the technical details of why football things happen, and the people like Lonzo, who don't care why a football thing happened. They just like that the thing happened.
All right, Zach on the stream says, what did Tony Romo do to you, Lonzo? Here's what he did. He dissed Carrie Underwood.
Okay, in fairness, that's a very valid complaint. Very valid complaint. Texter says Lonzo doesn't know ball and also hates fun.
Obviously, you're right. You're right. I don't know ball because, Rob has a master's. Rashad has an associate's. I dropped out. So I don't know. But I have all kinds of fun. I'm having a blast right now.
Certified graduate of Ball So Hard University.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the way to go. I don't.
I like Tony Romo. Jim Nance likes Tony Romo. You will all listen to Tony Romo coming up on Sunday.
Unless they provide alternate broadcasts. I haven't looked to see if there are.
You will listen to every damn
Actually, I know an alternate broadcast, and I know a way out. Right here on the Fan Upstate. Our coverage starts at 2 p.m. Sunday.
Now you just set me up to look bad.
Westwood One's coverage of the Super Bowl, and we can say that right here on the Fan Upstate, exclusively in the Upstate. You can listen to that. Say if you're someone like me and doesn't like Tony Romo, you can listen to the great radio broadcast, turn the volume down on the TV, and just listen to the Fan Upstate.
Yeah, now I just spent this much time talking about Tony Romo to then immediately go, but don't listen to him.
There's always a win in there somewhere, kids. You just got to look for it.
You've won this time, Gadget. All right, we got to take a break. Talk more Super Bowl. I'm going to come back here in a minute. Yes, we are going to get back to the football. I bet in just a minute, I'm going to the chagrin of the great one, talk baseball for a minute when we come back. The Atlanta Braves have pitchers and catchers reporting in just 5 days. And The Athletic had a real interesting take about the Braves yesterday that I would like to break down, and we will do it when we come back in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown. He is Alonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys, live read here, and then we're coming right back. Please don't go anywhere. BRB. All right, guys, thanks for hanging in there. We are back.
Hey, who are the voters for NFL MVP?
Media members, I believe.
There's 50 media members because Josh Allen got the one vote. That
Yeah, it's the Associated Press National Panel of Voting.
guarantee you Chris Collinsworth.
Josh Allen,
He's the one
vote.
that voted for Josh Allen. Guarantee you. He tried to vote 3 times so he can go Josh Allen, Josh Allen, Josh Allen. But that didn't work. I know, Zach. I'm told we're talking about that in the next hour. So, but people have been commenting about it all morning. So, and I don't know about you guys. As I just told Rob, I'm looking forward to the Nickelodeon broadcast of the Super Bowl and SpongeBob, because SpongeBob 25,000 times better than Tony Romo. Now the question is, okay, you know when they're going to go to break, even if you don't know ball. And so I can switch back up because the commercials will be different. So I'll just have to switch back when they go to commercials so I can watch the commercials on the actual broadcast, then jump back over to Nickelodeon when it goes to the actual game.
For the record.
Wait, you didn't know Steve McMichael, Zach, or just the Randy dude you didn't know? Because that's probably the guy that we didn't know either.
There was.
And that's the guy who I should know,
Lonzo,
apparently.
Ohio State
Whatever,
fan.
dude. I don't know everybody because I don't know ball. If I knew ball, I knew everybody who's ever played for the university that I root for. Yes, he was.
Invest in over 30 cryptocurrencies on Netcoins, America's low-fee crypto trading platform. Take advantage of zero funding fees.
You know, the other thing that you and I didn't talk about the press conference is them having Pierce and all this out there on the stage with Triple H. That was such a good move. Yeah, that was a good move.
Triple H was phenomenal.
Okay, Zach, only being 25, I get it. But go back and watch some wrestling. I think he was more popular back in the day wrestling with the Four Horsemen than he was doing the Super Bowl shuffle, maybe. I don't know. I recall Mongo had some killer hair, too, till it started going bye-bye on top. You know, Rob, it's pretty cool when someone on the stream who's a listener says they're 25.
The Rob Brown Show spans all generations and demographics. The Rob Brown Show is for everybody. We are not, with the exception of Rashad Beard, haters here on the Rob Brown Show. Okay? We hate
the haters.
We love Rashad, though.
Do love Rashad.
Still
Good
my
dude.
favorite segment from him ever. No, well, it ranks up there with Jim Bob Cooter.
Jim Bob Cooter.
Yeah, it ranks right up there, but still.
All right, we got a lot more stuff we need to get into, but let's get just a briefest of moments of baseball in on the show. You guys once voted and told us that you were happy to sacrifice as many as 2 whole segments a week to baseball. And of course, as the Rob Brown Show is for the people, we will do 2 segments of baseball. This is number 2 on the week. The Athletic is a journalism, I'll say it, journalism outlet that I, by the way, very much respect. I think The Athletic, of all of them out there right now, might be doing the best job, especially after the loss, RIP, of Sports Illustrated. Had a good run. Turned to AI. Got beat up. And now your grandpa's sports magazine of choice is dead. So, I think The Athletic does a pretty good job. And yesterday, The Athletic put out their rankings, their grades, I guess I should say, their grades for MLB teams off seasons. Of course, you had some like the Los Angeles Dodgers signing Shohei Ohtani, who get the A+. You had others like the Chicago Cubs, who still haven't done anything, ranking a little lower on the pay scale. And squarely in the middle, they put our Atlanta Braves. They put the Bravos in as a C grade, directly in the middle. Average is average. May get, and I was intrigued by that because I actually thought the Braves had a a decent offseason. It wasn't maybe quite as thrilling as I had hoped that it would be, but I would also point out when it comes to the Atlanta Braves, the Braves have 6 guys in their lineup that were all-stars last year. Matt Olson, Ronnie Acuna Jr. You have guys like Money Mike, who was a Rookie of the Year finalist. Like, they're very, very good. Like, very, very good. And so I look at that lineup and went, what were you going to do to add to it, right? There wasn't a lot of room to add, especially considering the money side and the fact that you needed to add some pitching. You went out and got Chris Sale. You built up the bullpen to what I think might end up being one of the better bullpens in baseball this year. If you look down at the minor leagues, a lot of prospects have come in for Atlanta as of late that are going to get their time in Gwinnett to try to get up to record. I like what the Bravos did a lot. I think this speaks more to what the LA Dodgers did. I think this speaks more to how the Dodgers worked in the offseason. The LA Dodgers had a ridiculous offseason. They were bringing in Japanese stars. They got the greatest baseball player in the history of the game, Shohei Ohtani. This team's exceptional. And even though they do have guys like Walker Buehler who are going to be banged up and not be able to be full tilt at least all season long, Shohei, of course, off the elbow surgery, is not going to be a Cy Young candidate this year, but he is going to be able to play DH and potentially be a Silver Slugger kind of guy. I think he'll be in that mix next year. The Dodgers pulled the Mets this year. The Dodgers went out there and put together an offseason that we'll be talking about for a very long time. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, because the Dodgers added legitimately $1 billion to their payroll. $1 billion for the payroll this time around. So when I look at a guy like Alex Anthopoulos, who, as far as I'm concerned, the general manager of the Atlanta Braves, should be the general manager of the decade for Major League Baseball, you didn't have to do a lot, right? You added Jared Kelenic from Seattle. He's a guy with a ton of upside. I talked to Cody Decker about this guy. He's like, look, man, if Atlanta treats him well and he grows into the potential that he has, you're adding another all-star to the list. That's how good this guy can be. You added Chris Sale. Yeah, he's on the wrong side of 30. But Chris Sale, to me, and we talked about this earlier in the week in the first segment that we did about baseball on the show, one of 2 this week. As the texter says, how about just one segment of baseball? Okay.
I don't know.
If Chris Sale, who I think fell into a routine, one of the things that I've noticed about high-level athletes, whether it's Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or LeBron James or anybody else, they will tell you that repetitiveness, getting comfortable in a routine, is one of the worst things you can do. Once you fall into a routine, especially if that routine's a bad one, you don't strive to get better. You've got to constantly break your routine. I think Chris Sale got into such a routine in Boston that it created a situation where he could not get better. Now he heads to Atlanta. He's got some injury concerns, sure, but he's changing up the therapy, changing up the routine, changing up the stadium, changing up the way he's approached, changing up his spot in the rotation. I think it's a great pickup if it translates into success. If it doesn't, it is what it is. But if he gets back to being a lights-out left-handed starter, Atlanta has, as Zach pointed out during the break a minute ago, addressed the 3 things they needed to improve: the bullpen, another starter, and a left fielder for the future. That is Kelenic, that is Sale, and that is a handful of young guys out of the pen, and you just need 2 of them to hit. That's basically the spot you find your way in. And I look at what the Braves have done this offseason, and I contrast it to LA. And I think LA, obviously LA is going to be very good. LA's been a threat over and over and over and over and over and over and over to be a 100-game winner. And I think they will be again this year. But the Dodgers get an A, the Braves get a C from The Athletic. And I would point out that the Braves have back-to-back 100-game one. 100-game one, won 100 games. Back-to-back, they've done that. And all they did was get better. And the difference here is the Braves didn't spend $1 billion to do it. The Braves didn't mortgage 25 years of their future to bring in 3 guys like LA did. The Braves built up internally all of these all-stars with a couple of exceptions, like Matt Olson, who, by the way, the Braves made a killer deal to get him up out of Oakland and bring him to the ATL to be an all-star. The Braves didn't mortgage anything. The Braves are good to continuously turn over the roster moving forward because they are not in for $1 billion of free agents like the Dodgers are. And I think that is very important. And I think that's the spot you find yourself in if you're Atlanta. I think the Braves absolutely get, I'll say a B, because again, I would like to have one more monster in the rotation. Chris Sale might be him, but until he is, we don't know. I would have loved to have seen the Braves in on Dylan Cease. And for the record, it looks like the Braves were in on Dylan Cease, but the Chicago White Sox wanted the moon for Dylan Cease, and the Bravos went, nah, we got plenty of all-stars around us. We're not giving you all of them for one guy. I think that, and again, I like The Athletic, and I like the guys who wrote this up. But I think that everybody's looking through the mirror of the LA Dodgers right now at, well, you got to build by bringing in all these expensive free agents. You got to pay $1 billion. You don't. You don't. I think the Braves have done what successful teams in Major League Baseball have to do right now. And that is, you got to be good through the farm system and fix little spots with free agency, as opposed to try to build through free agency and fix little spots with the farm system. I think Atlanta has done the former, not the latter. And when you look at teams like Arizona, what'd they do? They built through the farm system and filled in the blanks in free agency. When you look at teams like Houston, what has Houston done? They build through the farm system, and then they fill in the blanks with free agency. I think a lot of people are getting caught up with what the Dodgers have done in terms of spending metric buttloads of money, and they think that's the window now. It's not. Case in point, the New York Mets last year. That is another team. Highest payroll in baseball. And it wasn't particularly close. Far and away, the highest payroll in baseball. Does anybody remember when the Mets got bounced from the... Oh, that's right. They didn't make them. Having a high payroll guarantees you not a damn thing. Am I team luxury tax? Absolutely. I would love to see it spread out a little bit more. That's because I have always been a small market team guy. But just because you go into the luxury tax, New York Yankees, New York Mets, LA Dodgers, doesn't mean it doesn't guarantee you anything. And I think if you look at the Braves off season through the lens of look at how much money the Dodgers spent, when the Dodgers ended up in the exact same spot as the Braves last year, who did not spend $1 billion, it just kind of is what it is. And there you have it, a baseball segment. You're very welcome. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, Texter says, hey, Texter who doesn't want to listen to baseball talk, shut up. Nobody cares about your feelings. I like it. Texter v. Texter violence. That's what I'm here for at 8:45 in the morning on a Friday. Spur Daddy said the Dodgers spent $1 billion to lose in the NLDS or the Braves in the NLCS. Here's hoping. Not much more I love than seeing teams that spend money like the Dodgers not win. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. And yes, James, I will never not laugh at the LOL Mets. Neck hurts. No.
NBA, the Charlotte Hornets are in Milwaukee tonight to take on the Bucks. Hornets have lost 9 straight games.
Fresh real quick. Go time.
The Toronto Raptors. The
Hurry, got 2.5.
on Saturday hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. Sunday it is Super Bowl 58 as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the San Francisco 49ers. That game at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. The Chiefs are in their 4th Super Bowl in the past 5 years, and a win for Patrick Mahomes would put him in rare company. He would become the 5th quarterback in NFL history to win 4 more Super Bowls. The Niners have been in the Super Bowl 8 times, and a win would give them 6 titles, tying them with Pittsburgh and New England for the most in NFL history. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate. Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on The Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic, southbound 85, seeing some of your traffic volumes as you pass Brockman and McClyman Road through the Highway 14 merge, and then south of that, before you get to 276, had an accident there. Looks like everything's off to the right side. If anything, just attracting a little attention. Highway 29, Wade Hampton Boulevard, no reported issue. Looking pretty good between Greenville and Spartanburg. May find some of the usual slow spots, though, through that stretch. From the News Talk 98.9, the WORD Traffic Center, I'm Joyce Nilsson on Fan Upstate.
Hey, everybody, it's Boomer Esiason here. And
By the way, Seth had to do something, or else he was just standing there like for the entire thing. So he had to step up and do something, or why was he there? And then everything that's said about his secondary belt would have been true.
I think Seth's involvement in that segment was perfect.
Because now things could go a bunch of different ways with different people. Everybody was involved.
On the table.
Everybody was involved with each other.
Everything's on the table.
And then Drew tweeted out last night, "This is exactly what I prayed for." It was great. Yeah, me too. And the fact that the audio caught just enough of it for you to hear it to make it sound like you weren't supposed to hear it.
Only he didn't say crap. As a big fan of the Attitude Era, I thoroughly loved last night.
Gotta admit, I didn't really watch the Attitude Era. I was watching WCW during that time. I had to pick one or the other. I went with the cleaner version.
Last night, dudes talked the way that dudes who get punched in the face talk. And I was fully immersed. I was sports entertained last night.
I also was sports entertained. I do wish Cody would have gotten something in after the slap, but that's fine. He'll get his later.
There are definitely some plot holes left to be filled in.
And almost 2 months to do it. So
But you got 2 months to do it. Yes, The Rock said to Triple H that if Cody talked bleep about his family again, he would slap his bleeping teeth down his mouth. Roman gave Triple H a stare, and Triple H said, "You're lucky you're with him," to Roman about The Rock, which was phenomenal. You know what we have not done yet, great one, is go on the record with our Super Bowl predictions, prognostications, projections, and, well, frankly, guesses.
I would have reminded you before the end of the show. I was waiting.
Yeah. I feel like now's a good time. I mean, we got some stuff coming up in the next hour of the show we got to get to. I got a little golf. I got a little NASCAR. By the way, I got through episodes 2 and 3 of the NASCAR documentary on Netflix last night. Dude, I can't stop. It is so good. So good. Denny Hamlin, I I followed NASCAR, but I didn't really follow like individual drivers the way you do with football players. Dude, Denny Hamlin is a straight up, and I love him for it. Like, he gives zero bleeps about anything. And it's incredible. He's one of those dudes that if he was in your life, you would hate him. Hate him. But as a NASCAR driver, you're like, I don't like you, but you got so much hardware, I got to respect you. It's incredible. If you haven't watched it, watch it. I watched an episode last night, and then I had one more episodes before I finally went to bed. It's so good. But before we get there, let's get to our picks. San Francisco, 2-point favorites on Sunday. That is, in my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion, not where I think that line settles before kickoff on Sunday. I think it is probably going to check somewhere either 1.5 or 1 point moving back towards Kansas City. Lonzo, I have not held back on this at all. I slammed the line when it was Kansas City +3. I also put a little sprinkle on Kansas City on the money line for a little plus money. I am going to go with a back-to-back, with a repeat of the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that Brock Purdy is very, very good, but I think as the pressure has mounted, he is not seeing the field the way that he saw it, or at least it felt like he was seeing it in the regular season. On the flip side, when Patrick Mahomes is in the Super Bowl, there has been only one quarterback able to slay the dragon, and it was the GOAT. Nobody else has been able to get to playoff Pat in the Super Bowl, and I don't think Brock Purdy is next in line to Tom Brady. Lonzo, give me Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to outright win this thing.
All right. Did you pick a score?
I did not yet, but I will go ahead and do that. That's a great call. I'm going with the under of 57.5, and the reason why is I am putting this game in the neighborhood of 24-21. Chiefs win the game, and I think a Butker field goal is the difference.
All right, I'm not going to change my score just because you picked the exact score that I was going to pick. I meandered down to the dark side yesterday or the day before because there is also a really big, not figuratively, but really big Kansas City Chiefs fan down the way in Stoneman. So, I mean, he's got probably more jerseys than I do. And to see what he was going to say about the game. And he basically said the same thing that I've been saying. It could come down to who has the ball last. And I still think that's a possibility. But Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs have proven they only need about 11 seconds to score a touchdown. I also am picking the Chiefs and 24-21. And two really good defenses, playmakers on one side, big time stars on the other side, and Taylor Swift's going to be the difference.
Rocking the Taylor's boyfriend shirt today. Picked this up off Amazon the other day.
Man,
best purchase of the month.
It's an awesome shirt. I hope they show her so much that all the people who are pretending to hate actually start to hate.
The dads, Brads, and Chads.
I hate her because I'm supposed to. All right, whatever, dude.
I wore this shirt. So when I do my Thursday night appearances with BetMGM tonight on the BetQL network, I live stream it. So I'm on their stream as well as on the radio nationwide. And I wore this last night, and Trista Crick, one of the hosts of BetMGM tonight, and one of my favorite people in this industry, was like, I get on and we spend like 5 minutes together in the little green room before they put us on the air. And I get on and she just goes, "You dork." Yup. Absolutely and entirely.
Dork.
Not even embarrassed.
Hey, you gotta hit a trend while it's hot. If you're one of those fashionistas or whatever that is.
Dork.
Yeah.
Dork.
I mean, you're hitting it while it's hot.
Yeah. What do you want?
I mean, there's a good chance that after Sunday, it won't be hot anymore.
I have and I will say this. I have 4 or 5 different errands I have to run after the show, but before I go home today. And I 100% am just wearing this shirt around town. And I cannot wait to see what reaction my Taylor's boyfriend t-shirt gets. Can't wait. Gonna be great. Let's see. James says 28-24. Mahomes hits the AA and 5-knuckle shuffle and throws a last-minute touchdown. Can't be mad about that.
Simultaneous, you can't see me.
Is what it is, man. Is what it is. So who do y'all like? Lonzo and I both going 24-21 Kansas City. Spur Daddy says 21-17 Kansas City Chiefs in this one. James says San Francisco gets penalized on the final drive somehow.
By the way, look it up. Several people have pointed out how Kansas City has been penalized more than their opponents, and that this is all just narrative that you're falling into. Come on, James. Don't fall into that narrative.
Yeah, I think if there was going to be a game that Kansas City got some help, it was Baltimore, and they just outright won that game. I thought.
If you don't like a team, automatically the refs are on their side. That's just how that works. That's how fandom works, I suppose.
All right, so what are your picks? Who do you like? Zach says, I want the 49ers to win because of the story Brock Purdy has had in just 2 years. He wants him to finish the story. And I respect that. I do.
Wesley says 31-28 Chiefs.
31-28
Anyone picking San Francisco?
Listen.
Haven't seen any yet.
It is shocking how much of the money is on Kansas City. Like, and I'm gonna say this. I don't mean
there we go. Thank you,
emotionally. I don't mean I mean America is financially riding with Kansas City. Now, in terms of wanting to see the next evil empire fall, I think a lot of people are Team San Francisco, but there is no better indicator of what people believe than asking them to put their money where their is. And America is riding KC and Patty in that one.
Where their what is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got it. Let's take a break. When we come back in the next segment, one more segment of thoughts about the Super Bowl, and then we do indeed have to discuss last night's WWE press conference because finally The Rock has turned heel again.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
That's not what we were told was happening. We will address it coming up in the next hour. But before we get to any of that, ladies and gentlemen, the biggest heel in the game.
You sick freak.
Lonzo with a sports flash.
I ain't denying nothing. The NFL awards were handed out last night. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson pulled in 49 out of 50 first place votes. Turns out Josh Allen got the other one. We believe it was Chris Collinsworth who did it. To take home his second MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year award went to Christian McCaffrey. The first to win it was San Francisco since Jerry Rice did it in 1993. Myles Garrett of Cleveland is your Defensive Player of the Year, while Browns coach Kevin Stefanski was named Coach of the Year, and Joe Flacco was awarded Comeback Player of the Year. I was doing so well. The Houston Texans have both the Offensive and Defensive Rookies of the Year, and quarterback C.J. Stroud and defensive end Will Anderson Jr. I don't know if you knew this, but we are your exclusive home for the Super Bowl in the Upstate. Coverage starts at 2 p.m. Sunday as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the San Francisco 49ers. The Super Bowl plays here, right here on the Fan, Upstate. I know I'm having trouble with Kevin Stefanski because I watched part of the awards this morning and saw him being called Steven Stefanski, and it was hilarious. And I was trying not to do that. I can find a reason for every mistake I make. That is the reason, though. Justin Hartley just called him Steven. Because he was thinking of Stephen Amell, and, you know, he was thinking, okay, Justin Hartley was thinking, okay, I was never as good of a Green Arrow as Stephen Amell was. And that's just threw the whole thing off.
Danger and trauma of surgery and without harmful drugs. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772, Greenville and Asheville.
The 2024 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament returns to Greenville, South Carolina, as Bon Secours Wellness Arena hosts the annual celebration of SEC Women's Hoops, March 6th through 10th. Join us and experience Greenville as you create memories and we crown a champion. Tickets are on sale now. Head to secsports.com for more information. That's March 6th through the 10th in Greenville. SEC Women's Basketball. It just means more.
Unleash your inner Viking with the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe, and you can win tickets to Norway to see Heart live at Tons of Rock.
Yeah, I only watch bits and pieces of it, Zach, because I stopped watching award shows a long time ago because of all the politics. Plus, I saw some NFL players trying to talk and be funny, and I get it, what a struggle it is, but, you know, stay in your lane just kept coming into mind. And, you know, some people should not be, you know, when you're practicing and you realize how bad they're doing in practice at saying their lines, maybe just, you know, give it to somebody else. Just saying. Except for Max Crosby. Even though he struggled, I would never say, hey, dude, don't do that. I would say, sounded good to me, Max.
Good.
All the people around him while he stood in the crowd looked completely afraid. That might happen, Wesley. She does good work, though, right? They can't stop us. I don't know, Steven. He's trying to lose weight, so he may not.
Sam, are you telling me you're giving me KC plus 6.5? Bet. Done, Steven. Absolutely.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Well, it's Super Bowl weekend, Corey LaJoy. I happen to be doing very well. Thank you for asking. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the final hour of the Rob Brown Show right here, and only on the Fan Upstate. 4 hours of sports talk excellence every single weekday morning right here on the show. I am Rob Brown, that guy over there. That's the great one, Lonzo, the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate. Spectacular to have you all here on the radio broadcast. Lonzo and I both going 24-21 in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. I got to tell you, though, if it goes 24-21 San Francisco, I'd be exactly and precisely 0% surprised. I think this is a field goal game, maybe inside of a field goal.
Yeah, same here. And someone texted earlier, they think San Francisco is going to win and it'll come down to a kick. If it comes down to a kick, my money's still on Butker.
I mean, it depends on if Butker's the one taking the kick, right? Like, to me, it may very well be who is the last guy to touch the football? Is it Harrison Butker or is it Jake Moody? If San Francisco manipulates the clock and is able to have the last possession, don't be shocked if they win the game. Again, 3 points or less could absolutely be the difference in this one. And I'm predicting it too. Again, I went Chiefs +3 when it dropped last Sunday. So I'm going to go with this. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to run the ball dramatically more than they have during the course of the regular season.
See, I agree, but at the same time, I think they take a couple shots because here's the thing. San Francisco more than likely going to be a lot more nervous than Kansas City. Even though there were a lot of drop balls earlier on in the season, I would think in the first half, there's a good shot that Kansas City's receivers will be a little more sure-handed because the enormity of what's going on will not affect them the way it's going to affect San Francisco.
I've got, with the exception of a couple of clutch catches from MVS, no reason to think that Kansas City's receivers are the difference in this game. It's Rashee Rice.
Rashee right down.
And Travis Kelce.
Rashee right down. They're going to set up in a set where it looks like they're going to run the ball, and he hits Rashee over the top very first play.
But this, to me, this is where the knowing of the ball comes into play. San Francisco, outside of having a very good pass rush, which is going to be in Patrick Mahomes' face all day long, San Francisco's defensive backs are pretty good. And if Rashee Rice is the home run ball threat, what am I doing? I'm taking him away.
What would be even better would be Kadarius Toney. And he actually catches the ball.
Number one receiver, Kadarius Toney. Just ask him. Just ask him. I will go with, if Rashee Rice is your playmaker, and through the air, Rashee Rice is your playmaker, I'm keeping that guy bracketed all day long. I am shading my defense to wherever he is. I am taking the risk of getting roasted by Travis Kelce and acknowledging I'm taking the risk. Hey, he may torch us up the middle, but I would rather them pick up a couple of first downs with Taylor's boyfriend over the middle than I would them hitting a deep ball to Double R, them to hitting a deep ball to Rashee Rice and changing up the game, which they very much could. So I'm going to bracket up on Rashee Rice. I'm going to shade my defense to that side. If I bring pressure, I'm bringing it from the side opposite of Rashee Rice. Here's another master's degree of knowing ball tip. If a blitz is coming, about 80% of the time, the open receiver against the blitz is going to be on the side of the ball the blitz came from. Because in order to, unless you're just showing the blitz and allowing the quarterback to know where the blitz is coming from, allowing the offensive line to know where the pressure is coming from, unless you're showing the blitz, you got to blitz out of a regular set, a foundation defense, a base defense, in which case, once the pressure comes, once the blitz comes, you got to move somebody to that spot. And that initial snap look, in that moment of time, you have got to, if you were a quarterback, understand your receiver has to find his way into that hole. Your receiver's got to find his way into that spot on the football field that has been vacated by a blitzing defensive player, especially and predominantly if the blitz is coming off the edge. So if I'm San Francisco, whatever side Rashee Rice is on, and I'm not going to do this exclusively. I'll occasionally, very occasionally, blitz from wherever Rashee Rice is just to make Mahomes know I'll still bring it. But probably 4 out of 5 times, if I'm bringing outside pressure, I'm bringing it from the side opposite of Rashee Rice. I do not want to create a hole in the field, even for a second. I don't want to create a hole on the field where Mahomes can get the ball to Rashee Rice, because Rashee Rice is the only guy that I am afraid of torching me with Yat Daddy, torching me with grabbing a 6-yard pass and turning it into 32 and a touch. Am I afraid of Travis Kelce with a couple of 20-yard receptions? Yeah, of course I am. He's Travis Kelce. He's the best in the game at doing it. But I am not terribly afraid of Travis Kelce scoring a touchdown outside of, say, 20 and in. He's a red zone threat without a doubt. But if I'm at the 30, or if if I got Kansas City on the 30 coming out, I'm not afraid of Travis Kelce torching me. Now, I'm afraid of my defense getting busted and Travis Kelce finding a hole, sitting down in it, picking up a couple of 12, 13, 14-yard snags. But I'm not afraid of Travis Kelce catching the ball, turning up the field, and then popping off for 60 and a touch. I am afraid of Rashee Rice. So I am 100% bringing blitzes against Mahomes, adding you've got a great pass rush if you're San Francisco. Nicky is going to be knocking on the door all day. I think you can pick up a Nicky prop for over a sack and a half at like even money, maybe like minus 105. Nick Bosa is going to be in the mix. He had 2 sacks against Detroit. I think he can get to 2 against Kansas City. Nicky's going to be in the mix. The defensive pass rush from San Francisco is going to be in the mix. How do you negate what Patrick Mahomes is best at offensively? What is Patrick Mahomes best at offensively? Improvising. You think you got him. You think you got him dead to rights, and then he does a thing. That's what's made Patrick Mahomes, because he can do a thing and throw a weird falling down style pass that a Cirque du Soleil contortionist would be jealous of, and somehow do it with remarkable accuracy. It's unbelievable. How do you negate Patrick Mahomes utilizing his improvisational skills? You make him think, okay, I'm out of the pocket. I can look down the field and find that guy that I need to hit on the run or with the twisty turny pass or whatever. And then he goes, oh, damn, there's a linebacker blitzing over here. There's a cornerback blitzing over here. There's a safety that just gapped off the outside tight end block, scraped off that block and is now in the backfield. I can't improvise. I don't have time to improvise. And you hit that guy. So if I'm San Francisco and I know that extra pressure is, at least to me, with a master's degree of ball knowing, if I know that that is what I have to do to prevent Patrick Mahomes from being Patrick Mahomes.
But then there's this little thing that Patrick Mahomes, as awkward as he is running, can still run. So you can do all the things you said, but if you leave a little gap in there, he's got a shot at taking advantage of it.
That's where the extra guy, that's what the extra guy is to me. I agree with you. That's what the extra guy is. The extra guy is, I believe my pass rush is good enough to get to Mahomes. I believe my pass rush is talented enough to get to Patrick Mahomes. I believe my pass rush is skilled enough to get to Patrick Mahomes. What I need to do is somehow ensure that when it does, he can't slip out like Warwick Dunn, the backside of the masses, and throw that pass. I need another guy. Now, with guys like Lamar Jackson, the way you do that is with a spy. What a spy is, since we explain the ball that we know here on the show, a spy ordinarily is a linebacker, sometimes a defensive back, who has one job in the defense, and that is to watch the quarterback and do not let him run. Do not let him get to the line of scrimmage. When the play starts, you stand pat, and you watch Pat. And if Pat goes right, you go right. And if Pat goes left, you go left. And if Pat goes to the line of scrimmage, then you go to the line of scrimmage. And if he doesn't, then you sit down where you are and just make sure he can't. That's it. And most teams are going to run a base defense with a spy in the middle. Now, utilizing a spy is problematic because you're taking a guy out of traditional pass coverage. If I got, let's say, my middle linebacker, and I'm putting a spy on Mahomes with my middle linebacker, yeah, he can play the zone in the middle of the field, but what I can't do is have him by himself. Because if Mahomes recognizes, okay, middle linebacker is spying on me, he's going to take 3 steps toward the line of scrimmage, draw that middle linebacker up, and now there's a hole vacated in the middle of the defense. So you can run a spy at him, but Mahomes is not a run-first running quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Not that Lamar Jackson's run first, but if Lamar gets into trouble in the pocket, then Lamar's going straight to the line of scrimmage. Mahomes is not. He wants to run left and right before he turns it up the field. He can, he will, but he doesn't want to. So going with a spy can be problematic against Patrick Mahomes. So instead of going with a spy, what do I want to do? I want to bring an extra guy off the edge so that if Mahomes runs right, and that's where my pressure is coming from, he's running into the blitz. And if he runs left, when he is getting out of the pocket, I've already got a guy coming off the left at full speed to chase him down. So what you are hoping is that your blitzer, who is running full speed off the oppo edge, is going to be faster than Mahomes getting up to speed. And I think that's what San Francisco wants to do. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but I think that's what they want to do, and that's what I'm betting on them to do. I am betting on San Francisco to utilize a lot of pressure. I am betting on San Francisco to play a lot of base defense with extra pressure coming away from Rashee Rice. Because again, I do not want to create a situation where I'm opening up the defense for Rashee Rice to find a hole and sit down in it. Because Rashee Rice catching the ball without a defender inside his jersey with him is exactly the spot where Rashee Rice becomes the yak daddy I'm afraid of. If I'm San Francisco, there's a couple of things I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of Kelsey having a buck 50 and 2 tutties. And I'm afraid of Rashee Rice becoming a yak daddy. Because if he does, I am in trouble. On the flip side, Kansas City's defense. What do you do against the 49ers of San Francisco? The exact opposite. I do not want to bring a ton of pressure against Brock Purdy. I want to make Brock Purdy stare down a full complement of my nickel defense. I want to do what I can to take Debo and Ayuk away from them. I want to make this a George Kittle game. I want, if I'm San Francisco, I want to do the same thing to Kansas City that I said Kansas City needs to do to San Francisco that I said San Francisco needs to do to Kansas City. Make it a game where George Kittle's got to be the guy. Where George Kittle's got to have 8, 9, 10 catches, not 2 or 3. Because San Francisco has deep ball threats everywhere. Debo, Ayuk, McCaffrey. McCaffrey's averaging like 10 yards a catch in the playoffs. I don't want to give them space. If I'm going to give anybody space, it's the tight end. The difference is, while Brock Purdy can run, Brock Purdy is more taking an open spot on the field to run to, not a scramble that turns into a run. Brock Purdy's a guy that is going to drop and sit in the pocket, and he's going to take off if and only if he sees, all right, that defensive end just got blocked up the field, or the 3-technique defensive tackle got blocked so far in, there's a vacated space. The D tackle got blocked over into the center, and their linebacker has now dropped off into a 10-yard bubble. He's taken 5-6 steps back. I can outrace him to a mark where the 5-yard gain would be. I can outrace that linebacker to that spot. So let me get there and go down. Now it's 2nd and 5. Now it's 3rd and 2. And I think that's the way that I'm playing it if I'm San Francisco or if I'm Kansas City. If Brock Purdy's going to run the ball, Brock Purdy's going to run the ball. There's not a whole lot you can do to stop that. What I can do is limit Brock Purdy having a big moment. What I can do is limit a spot where Brock Purdy's going to go for 17-18 by playing a base, by taking away the big shots to Debo and Ayuk, and playing up on the line on the outside. Prevent McCaffrey from becoming a deep ball threat as a running back who can catch the ball. I want Brock Purdy to have Christian McCaffrey in an emergency only. And my goal is to keep him limited to like 4 or 5 yards per carry, not 10. And I think that's what you do if you're San Francisco. So there you go. Defensive keys to the game from a guy with a master's degree in knowing ball. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute. Last night, yes, we are going to talk about it. You're just going to have to deal with it.
You should know your role and shut your mouth.
We had a press conference leading up to WrestleMania 40 out of the WWE. Dwayne showed up again, and it was real interesting. We're going to talk about it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. Thank you, Tommy. It is a nice shirt. It is 9:20 in the morning, and I've already gotten more than my fill of looks from people.
Ooh, look at that.
Look at what? Somebody do a bad job again?
No.
Oh,
You're
the Iron Man car, the Tony Stark car.
You're looking for bad parking.
I was looking for bad parking.
That's just a sweet looking car.
Yes, it is. I think that is the one Tony Stark drove in Endgame.
Event in America. Heck, it's the television event in America. The NFL has 93 of the top 100 most watched TV broadcasts from 2023. Can you believe that? But my friends, the NFL didn't get to its perch by settling. They're always striving to get better. They got rid of the
All right.
They could make it better.
We in here.
What would make the Super Bowl even better? I say cater more to football fans. Sometimes the football part is getting lost in all this hoopla. Don't bury the lead. How about also have the Super Bowl on President's Day weekend? So, we get Monday off. It is absurd that after all of our Super Bowl parties, we're expected to show up to work Monday morning. Bump that. Let's do it on President's Day weekend. I'm Mark Ryan.
Offsides with Mark Ryan, 3 to 7 p.m. today on the Fan Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Denise has been playing jazz.
I wonder if that's harder to get in and out of the mic.
One of the musicians fell sick with RSV.
My old man knees hurt looking at it.
RSV is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine Abrysvo.
A lot of times when we go eat on Saturday, Odie drives.
Yeah.
And it kills me getting in and out of his car.
What does he drive?
And it's a higher car. I can't even tell you. Maybe I'm so used to getting into something low that a regular size car just. And I basically fall into my car. So, I mean. Yours is probably perfect height. Do you got to go up or do you just go right in?
No, it's a really good height. I don't have to climb, but I don't feel like I have to fall backwards and hope I miss or hope I don't miss the seat.
And next day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answer and product.
I used to laugh when at our high school, there was a couple guys who used to play, who ended up on pro teams. One of them was Herb Williams, basketball player.
Yeah.
And he'd pull up in this little red sports car, and all you'd see is he's like, I don't know, 6'6", 6'7", long legs getting out. And it's like, how How does that even work? Now I know.
I mean, I'm not huge. I'm 6'3", but the first car I had was a 1993 Cadillac Seville. It was a great car. 3.2 liter V8 North Star engine. That thing could go, but it sat real low to the ground. And so, like I said, I'm not 7'2", but when I got in that car, you kind of just had to like fall back into the seat and then rotate.
I have to worry about hitting my head. That's it. If I can get in without hitting my head, I'm good.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes,
See, I mentioned that earlier in the office, James, and I don't think Rob thinks that's going to happen.
No, I don't think you're getting rocked to Elimination Chamber in 2 weeks.
He said on McAfee said he's been training for a pretty good bit. Said he's got a ring up in Hawaii and one in California, so he can stay on it. And so you don't know how long he really has been practicing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Steven.
It was my dad's hand-me-down. Tell you so that you know what I was working with. The back of that car, whenever it would rain, would flood. The car would flood.
Oh, I get it.
So to fix that, my dad one day came home with blocks. You drive the car up on the block so you can get under it. And I thought he's going to fix the car, but I'm like, it's flooding. Why are you going under the car? My dad went under the car with a hammer and nails, and he literally nailed holes through the floor so that when it rained and the car flooded, it would just drain through the floor outside.
Hey, man, whatever works.
Feel him? For real. Do you feel him, sir?
Me too. Hey, it's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Rob Alonzo with you. Let's talk wrestling, shall we? Here for just the briefest of minutes.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we should. I feel like we can. I feel like we will. Last night, WWE filled up an NBA-sized arena for a press conference. A press conference. Because nobody likes or cares about wrestling. So we can talk about all the other stuff that happened, but let's be real, we were all in for and curious as to how they would handle Cody, Dwayne, Roman, Seth, etc., etc.
# we want Cody.
When The Rock came out, The Rock, who, by the way, earlier in the day had made an appearance on the Pat McAfee show and called them the Cody Crybabies, the people who wanted Cody Rhodes, you kind of got a bit of foreshadowing that you were getting heel Rock back. And I was curious as to how it was going to be handled. So out comes Seth Rollins to introduce Cody Rhodes, but Roman Reigns comes out instead, and Roman once again puts down Seth's belt, understandably so.
His demeanor, his looking down, he does that so well. I'm talking about Roman Reigns, about how putting Seth down, just his facials have gotten so much better as far as relaying what he's supposedly feeling. And I felt bad for Seth, something I don't think I've ever done, ever.
Roman Reigns is easily the most improved professional wrestler of the last a lot of years. So out comes Roman. Roman puts down Seth's belt, goes on to say that Cody had his chance, and if you miss your opportunity passes you by. And since Cody's opportunity passed him by, Roman was going to make the decision as to who he was going to fight, and it was going to be Dwayne. So out comes Dwayne. And Dwayne comes out and talks about how Roman v. Rock is going to be the biggest WrestleMania main event of all time. And after a few minutes of going on and putting the Anoa'i family tree
which was
up on the board,
pretty cool,
which was very dope to see, and very dope to see him lean into it. Cody's music hits. And out comes Cody Rhodes, and he taps on the mic, and once he has the attention, he says, "This is bull." And I went, oh, we're doing this. Okay. And, you know, Roman says, "I'm going to make you irrelevant, just like your dad was irrelevant." To which, and by the way, he said it in the middle of Cody saying something, so it had that extra like, oh, man. Like, it caught Cody.
And I like how it's okay for them to say something, but he can't say something.
For
back.
sure.
Yeah.
Because then a few minutes later, Cody says to both The Rock and Roman, if your grandfathers were here, the true high chiefs of your bloodline, they would be disappointed in you. And then The Rock slapped the hell out of, full on Stephanie McMahon slapped Cody Rhodes across the face. Now, at this point, outside of Cody Rhodes dropping the BS on the mic, it felt like a pretty standard wrestling match setup. And then it went off the rails. Seth ran over, got into Rock's face. Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis and Triple H had come out. They looked like they were on edge. They separated the boys, and they were getting it. And then eventually, Cody had to be escorted off the stage, and Seth said, "I don't give a if you're on the board. You can't just do whatever you want to The Rock." And The Rock drops the language back. And as Triple H was chaperoning Cody Rhodes off the stage, he said he crossed the line. And it got picked up on the mic. A mic that, by the way, the WWE was trying to censor most of the language, but could not get all of it. Then they go backstage, where Triple H is being interviewed, and he said, "Hey, look, tensions are high. You got a lot of pressure. You got a lot of egos," when Dwayne walks by and says, "Hey, you need to fix this. He keeps talking boat about our family, and if he talks boat about our family again, I'm going to slap his bleeping teeth down his bleeping face." Roman then gave a look to Triple H, and H said to Roman, "You're lucky you're with him," while he nodded back at Dwayne. This was, and I mean this, great one, this was the best single segment of match building that they have done in years.
And the whole build up with all the disappointment and everything from the last week or so just fed into it.
Sure.
Now the question is, was this the plan all along? Because I think it was, and I'm going to guess that you don't.
I do not. I genuinely think they overestimated the return they were going to get from Dwayne. I think they underestimated how many people have been so committed to this storyline for so long that even if you're tired of it, you still want to see it finished. Because who the hell watches 2 hours of a 2.5 hour movie and then doesn't just go, "I'm just going to finish it," right? And so I think that they underestimated those things, or over and underestimated those things, and had to pivot a little bit. I think they thought by bringing in The Rock, the Vince stuff is going to go away, and they did not realize how many people cared about seeing Cody finish this story that they have been telling for, again, years at this point. And so I do think they had to pivot. And the reason I think they had to pivot, Lonzo, was there are still some pretty dramatic holes in the plot here that have to be filled in. There were some pretty gaping plot holes here. Like, for instance, why did The Rock and Roman have this huge conflict stare down last Friday night, only for Rock to then come out a handful of days later and go, high five, brother. Turns out we're on the same page after all. Now, how do you creatively fix that? I'll tell you, as a creative mind, the answer is you have Rock come out and go, I tricked Cody because he's an idiot. I tricked him into giving me that spot because he's dumb, and maybe I gave the game away a little early, but he gave me the spot, and I still intend to have that spot. Now you have a justifiable reason for Cody Roman. Roman's got to be defeated by Cody to get his true spot back. And oh, by the way, you got all the heat of the family bleep talk back and forth. There are ways to fill in the plot holes, but the fact that there are plot holes that needed to be filled in tells me this was not the OG story, but the kickback was so brutal that they didn't have a choice but to do it.
All right, who betrays who, The Rock or Roman?
I don't think anybody out of the gate.
Yeah,
but I think ultimately what happens is Roman loses to Cody. Rock says, our family doesn't lose. You're out. I'm back in control. Solo and Jay have this whole thing about who are we going to follow? Who's the guy?
Jimmy.
And then what do you have?
Solo and Jimmy.
Solo and Jimmy.
Yeah.
And then you have Jay who can go to the Roman and be like, hey, look, I try, you know what I mean? Like, welcome to my world. And now all of a sudden you've got heel Rock versus a recently turned face in Roman Reigns. And I think that match is right there. In the meantime, you can have Drew and Cody, Sammy and Cody, Seth and Cody to unify the belt if you want to, because you got a full-time guy carrying the big belt around. Now you can go back to unification and wrap up the heritage of both belts into one again. The point here is this was so well done and put together in an Attitude Era style promo, which, by the way, that works because where were you? You're in Vegas, the home of big fights. And those big fights, whether it's boxing or UFC or MMA or whatever else, those big fights have these press conferences. And very frequently you have these types of conflicts. And this may shock, nay, stun some of you. But dudes who get punched in the face for a living sometimes say dirty words. And so to have it felt like an actual big-time fight.
All right, none of that mattered to me about the cursing. The slap across Cody's face, that was the thing. And the power trip in the back. Whatever was said, it was a power trip, technically a boss talking to an underling, which he's not, but that's what it's supposed to look like. The new boss talking to the guy who's in charge, telling him to take care of it.
Look, I want you to genuinely think over the last 30 years, two of the most iconic storylines that genuinely took over were what? Stone Cold versus Mr. McMahon when he was Mr. McMahon, and Daniel Bryan versus The Authority with Triple H and Stephanie. Why do those stories matter? Because again, all of us enjoy when we can insert ourselves into a story. Your favorite kind of movie is usually frequently determined by what you wish you could be.
All right, who are you in the story?
You're Cody Rhodes.
I know who I would be.
Right.
I'm talking about
you.
You specifically in this story. Who would you be?
Tribal Chief.
Of course. Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a Roman guy. But I think for most people, they can see themselves in the role of Cody Rhodes. And for a lot of us now, you go back and to finish the thought. He's from my town in Florida.
Exactly.
To finish the thought there, I think the reason that the Stone Cold story and the Daniel Bryan story got so big and so over organically is because who amongst us hasn't felt ourselves in that spot? You got the boss who is just too much, and you wish that you could Stone Cold stun him and blow up his limousine, right? With Daniel Bryan, who amongst us hasn't found ourselves in a spot where you think everybody at your corporate office sucks and is making terrible decisions, and you wish that you could fight back? And that's the Daniel Bryan stories, fighting back against literally the Authority. I think all of us can find a spot that we can inject ourselves in the Cody Rhodes storyline. And I think all of us have probably in a spot, much like Seth Rollins, have found ourselves in a spot where you are told you're not good enough. You're second rate. You're the B team. You're the alternate. Well, now all of a sudden you can connect with that side of it as well. And you've got two sympathetic stories. And then there's Rock, who is now just another corporate bad guy who came in, made a decision that benefited him and no one else, that nobody else liked, but he made it. Why? To make himself money, to get himself over. And so to flip him to be a corporate heel in this case is the right call. So you went from, you guys should cheer me because I'm a legend, to I don't really care if you cheer me. This is what benefits me. To hell with all of you, you bunch of whiny losers. This is what's happening, whether you like it or not. The reason everybody hated Vince, both as a character and in real life, is, and this is gross, but whatever I want to happen is what's going to happen, whether you people like it or not. And that's why we all hated him as a character, and honestly really hate him in real life now too. So you got that with Dwayne, and now you've got a new person to kind of place that ire, that underdog blue-collar ire on Dwayne, who, by the way, has always been better as a heel than a face.
I really enjoyed the pre and post too with the panel. Because I wasn't expecting Big E to be out there or CM Punk. And that was a little surprising. Thought CM Punk was on the edge of Big E having to pull him back so he didn't get fined.
See, no,
it was really close.
I think that, and again, just
and
because
CM Punk talking stuff while The Rock is back on stage. It was great.
Wrestling to me is, again, as we talked about with the authority stuff, it is the best when you can inject yourself in there, and when it is a mirror or a lens through which we can view real life. Listen, CM Punk has a reputation in the world of wrestling, whether it was the first run with WWE, AEW, back to WWE, as the dude who just wants to fight, whether it's in the ring or backstage in real life, out of kayfabe. So to come back from that and give Punk a live mic, for him to go, some people need to just punch other people in the face. Like, that's a CM Punk thing to do and say. And like you mentioned, and I go back to when Aldis told Paul Heyman after the Bloodline interfered in the AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and LA Knight match, oh, you've just earned yourself a 4-way, while Roman's in the background celebrating, holding up the belt. That was a great moment.
It was.
It felt real. Last night, having Punk say, I hope Cody Rhodes punches Dwayne. I really wish he would have said Dwayne, but punches The Rock in the teeth. To have Rock in the back, and not just in the back, but lean over to look at Punk when he heard that over the loudspeakers. What a great damn moment. And by the way, think about the feud you've set up for the future.
True.
I got Seth and Rock. I got Seth and Roman. I got Cody and Rock. I got Cody and Roman. Now I got Punk and Rock down the line. And after WrestleMania, what was it, 19, where Rock came back and just stole Punk's spot for no reason, and it set Punk down the road of being CM Punk. Now, all of a sudden, I've got a rivalry that if you're a long-term fan, you've been wanting to see since 2019, and it got built in a throwaway moment last night. They did such a damn good job with it.
All I know is Cody X'd out, tweeted out, whatever, earlier in the week and said, trust me. And it's like, okay, all right, well, let's see what happens. And there were so many things, so much misdirection to make it look like it was going to be something else. When he came out and said those words, I was so relieved. Because that's the WrestleMania a lot of people want to see. And there are people out there who want to see Rock versus Roman. That's still going to happen.
I would say last night when they were doing the "we want Cody, no we don't" chants, it sounded, as somebody who was not there, but who has talked to somebody who was, like it was about 80% we want Cody and about 20% no we don't. And if you can get 80% of people on board with anything, you have worked a small miracle. I mean, it was impressive. So I will say that last night, or at least the last like 20 minutes of that press conference, the last 20 minutes of that last night was, and I mean this, better than anything that has happened on Raw or SmackDown in a very long time. And that's not to put down all the things happening on the shows. That's just how good last night was.
Except for R-Truth. Sorry.
Well,
I mean, you know, it goes without saying, but
on me.
My bad.
That's fair.
Totally different direction, but still very entertaining.
All right, so there you go. Little wrestling in the books. Let us, ladies and gentlemen, as I get a text that says, feels like an hour later, Rob, listeners are tuning out. Well, I'll tell you what, do me a favor and watch. I'm going to go ahead and call this shot now. When the Super Bowl is won on Sunday, does anybody want to bet me? I'll give you plus money. Do you want to bet me that before the end of the evening, we see the Super Bowl MVP with a WWE belt over his shoulder?
Oh, without a doubt.
I'm just saying, they filled up an NBA arena last night for a press conference, not a show, not a match. They filled up an NBA stadium for a press conference. It's pretty damn impressive.
I still think it's funny the people texting and saying, man, just, I don't care who you are. Shut up.
Okay, in fairness, that one was for my mom.
He
I
said-
just turned Lonzo heel.
He set me up there. It's okay since you've never let me meet your mom. I'm good.
I wasn't really familiar with your game.
Well, he's so happy. Look at him. So who's the real heel here? Me or the person who set me up?
It's me, VRB. Twitter trending topics. Nope, what the X is good. Whatever we call it. We're doing that when we come back, and then we're calling it a week.
I got to
Rob Brown
admit,
Show.
I thought the text was from someone with a C in their name.
On the Fan Upstate. For the record, I was about to dunk on my own mom, so you just took it before I could get to it. I was 100% about to dunk on my own
All right,
mom.
so I legitimately feel bad.
I wasn't.
Some people don't like when some people say something to their mamas. So, I mean, I don't want to.
Again, I was about to dunk on my
Okay,
mom.
yeah, but that's different. Just like when The Rock had to stand up for Roman because you don't talk about family. So, I mean,
Love you, Mom. It's me, Lonzo. It was me all along. She's going to be mad at me. I'm going to call her later.
mad at you. Although you did set me up, but still, I
Absolutely did. I didn't do it on purpose. I really was about to dunk on my own mom, and then you took the bait. You ran to it. You saw the finish line, and you ran to it.
I think my defense is a pretty good one. But anyway, I thought I was railing against a totally different person in whom I will rail every chance I get. So, which is why I think you did it on purpose, because I think you thought that I would think that it was that person.
Don't worry. I just sent her back this as a GIF.
Does she know who that is, though?
I don't know. I mean, she's going to know it's a wrestler. Mom, that's CM Punk. FYI.
I'm gonna have to go home and tell my wife what I did and that I feel really bad. I'll be feeling really bad this weekend about it. It just took away the joy of the Super Bowl. I mean,
She just said, "You're a punk." That's a good line. That's good.
by the way, we talked about that, Zach.
Yeah.
Just you wait. Auto Trader. For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have
Doesn't matter that you arrived late, Zach. It's just that you arrived.
Missouri needs a new vet tech after their current one literally moved to a farm. But finding an ideal replacement takes some training. Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. Schedule virtual interviews and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free Odyssey app. CBS Sports Radio. Your guide to the gridiron. The maestro of the matchups and the keeper of all things cool in the sports world. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Oh yeah, Lonzo's here too.
This is the Fan Upstate. And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
I'm over here trying to think of how I can pin an apology to Rob's mom.
Don't worry, she's mad at me, not you.
I guess in the end, I got to be me. You know, that's
Hey,
what I got to
listen,
be.
I was setting it up for me to make a run at my own mother, and you saw blood in the water and went for it.
Yeah.
I can't be mad at that.
Yeah, that's me. Go team. All right, the first thing that's Xing today is National Pizza Day.
Is it now? I will tell you that I have decided the strategy for tomorrow's 75 chicken nugget challenge is this. I am going to have a big lunch. I'm going to hammer down a big lunch, and then I'm not going to eat again until noon tomorrow. I'm going to utilize the last big lunch to get that last big gut stretch because obviously I need it. And then I'm going to fast until tomorrow at noon when I go to town on a party's worth of chicken nuggets. And now that I know it's National Pizza Day, I feel like I know what lunch is going to be.
All right, I think everyone at home should play along with Rob and Cody and the guys and just eat nuggets with them at the same time.
Come on in, go to BetQL on YouTube or Twitch and watch the show tomorrow from noon to 4. Obviously, we're going to be hammering on the Super Bowl while we knock down 75 nuggets. If you want to be sports entertained, we got you.
All right, the next thing is Xing is Kobe Bryant.
Last night, 2/8/24 was Kobe Bryant Day in LA. It was also the day that they revealed the statue, one of 3 of Kobe Bean Bryant that they are going to be putting outside of the Staples Center, aka cryptbro.com arena. And the pose they went with, because that was the big question, is which pose are they going to use? The pose they decided to go with was Kobe walking off the floor, much like Roman Reigns, with the one held in the air after his 81-point game. Vanessa Bryant, when asked how they arrived at the decision to use that pose, said Kobe picked it himself. So if you don't like it, tough. And that's pretty Kobe-ish.
Oh, there you go. All right, the next thing that's Xing is D'Amico Ryans.
Second place in the NFL Coach of the Year voting. Second place in the Coach of the Year voting. Lost out to Kevin Stefanski from Cleveland, which I think makes
Stefanski.
sense.
Thank you for struggling with that because I messed it up every single time today.
Stefanski got the award and did so because he had to utilize 4 different starting quarterbacks and yet still took the Cleveland Browns to the playoff.
Which was totally unlike Cleveland.
By the way,
to do that.
I just got an update from BACtrack.com, which studies the drinking habits of Americans, which if you guys are hiring, I'm in. Lonzo, would you like to take a stab at the top 5 NFL teams in terms of highest average blood alcohol content at the conclusion of an NFL home game?
Wow. So we're talking about stadiums.
Talking about stadiums.
Okay.
NFL fan bases that drink the most.
I'm going to go Philadelphia.
Is not on that list.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Maybe a cold Green Bay.
Green Bay is not on the list. They are in the middle.
I'm trying to.
I'll just give you the top.
I was going to say I'm trying to skip Kansas City, but I'm sure it's probably in there.
Not only is Kansas City not in there, Lonzo, Kansas City has, according to BACtrack.com, the lowest average BAC in the National Football League.
My people.
The top 5, according to BACtrack.com, are the Saints at number 5 with a .08.
Wow.
See, we're smart. We keep it right there on the legal
Okay.
limit.
All right.
The Atlanta
Depends on what
Falcons
state you're in, probably. But.
at .085 in a tie with the Indianapolis Colts. The Pittsburgh Steelers, number 2 at a .088 on average. And the Tennessee Titans lead the league in highest BAC post game.
Okay, not really surprised. Home of country music. You know, country only sings about, you know, losing your wife, your dog, and drinking your beer. So, yeah, okay, I can see it.
Of the teams in the bottom 5, 2 made the playoffs, the Chiefs and the Ravens. In the top 5, only one team, the Steelers, made the playoffs. So, there you go. That's fun.
So just say no and you'll win a trophy.
Not necessarily. Just say yes and you'll have more fun. Y'all have a lovely weekend. Super Bowl Sunday. We'll be back on Monday to break that game down and officially transition out of football season and into everything else, because on the Rob Brown Show, there ain't no off seasons, baby. For Lonzo, my name is Rob. Have a lovely weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Go Taylor's boyfriend. See you back here on Monday for the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate later. Yeah.
Then it was over. Weird.
And just like that, friends, we come to our conclusion.
For the week, not for.
Correct. Not forever.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully not forever.
Yeah, because it's Friday. I guess that's when things happen. So if you leave before they call you over there, you know, and then turn your phone off.
Oh, man. All right, dudes and dudettes. How was Buffalo not on that list? I don't know. And I got to tell you, I don't know why I'm committed to it, but I'm going to read their entire study that they published today. I'm going to read the whole thing to figure out how they got those results. Because I would assume Buffalo was in there. Like Lonzo, I would assume Philly is on that list.
So how would you normally get blood alcohol level? It's because people being arrested. So I'm just guessing. I mean, how else would you get it?
Assume the methodology.
Oh, what hey, buddy, come here. Is it all right? Can I have some of your blood before you?
I think you could do it by averaging out the number of drinks sold versus the number of average people per attendance. You could get an idea. You could basically come down to average number of drinks per person in the stadium.
Yeah, but isn't the blood alcohol level different for each person because
it
of?
Would be,
yeah.
but you can, again, if you know the average spike in BAC caused by a beer, and then you know the average number of beers bought per person in the stadium, then you can get a rough idea. Because for every guy like me who can bang down a 6-pack,
He's doing that covered zero defense stuff again.
Listen, you don't have to like how the world works, but I know how the world works. Texter says Dusty Rhodes could eat 300 nugs easy. That's because he's the American dream. That's the Rhodes. If you know the average BAC spike caused by a beer, you know the number of beers purchased per game, and you know the number of attendees per game, then you can get an idea roughly of how many beers per person everybody in the stadium drinks. And if you know the average of beers per person and you know the average BAC spike caused by a beer, then you can get a pretty good rough idea of the average BAC of everybody in the stadium. Now, I will say this, for instance, I would bet the reason that Atlanta is so high on the list is because they sell the cheapest beers in the NFL. Beers in Atlanta are like $5. They're like 14 in New Orleans. So if I go to a Falcons game, I'm going to drink 3 or 4 more beers than I would if I was at a Saints game where they cost 3 times as much. So those results aren't going to be perfect because they don't take into consideration other variables like the cost of brewskis. But if people are buying less beers because the beer is more expensive, even though that's an outside variable, it is still going to impact how many beers you drink and by straight ramification, what your BAC spike is.
My hair hurts.
That might be the next show slogan. Rob knows ball and beer.
You probably want to switch it.
That
though.
might be the next
Beer
slogan.
and ball probably sounds better.
I know them both. All right, dudes and dudettes, thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys back here on Monday. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Goodbye.